It is 10:02. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In NFL news, the Cincinnati Bengals and star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson have resumed contract talks. According to ESPN, Hendrickson has not participated in the offseason program in Cincinnati during the contract dispute. The U.S. Open came down to the wire at Oakmont, and J.J. Spawn drilled a 64-foot putt on 18 to win his first ever major championship, finishing at 1 under. There was a blockbuster trade in the NBA over the weekend as the Memphis Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, plus Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks and a first-round pick swap. Speaking of, the NBA Finals continue tonight. Game 5 in OKC, the Pacers and Thunder are tied up at 2 games apiece. Tip-off tonight is at 7:30. College World Series, Arkansas is on the brink. They will face Murray State in an elimination game today at 1 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Feels like 3 weeks since we've all been together, but that's just what we've got for you this morning. Happy Monday. It's good to be back. We've got the whole crew. We've got Robert. We've got Lucas. You've got me until 1 o'clock. 615-737-1045 is the number. A very, very eventful sports weekend, even though football is on hiatus for the next 6 weeks. We've got plenty to discuss. We will have Ramon Foster hanging out in here with us in just about 15 minutes from now because I haven't had a chance to talk about Aaron Rodgers joining his Steelers, and I'm curious to know how Ramon feels about that entire ordeal. Also, he was out of practice, and I'd like to get some observations from him on a Titans side of things. You've got Game 5 in the NBA Finals tonight. The U.S. men's national team got right yesterday against Trinidad and Tobago. What are you schluffing that off for? What's wrong?
You know, sure. Nice to score some goals and get a win against an island country that is essentially an amateur team.
You had me tune in for a 4-0 loss to Switzerland the other day, okay? Whatever they have to do to win a game, I'm going to assume.
True. No, we'll take what we can get around this time.
This is get right. By the way, Lucas is smacking himself in the face like John Henderson to wake himself up for the show. I don't know if should we smack him in the face so hard that he bleeds, because John Henderson needs to bleed a little bit to feel alive. Maybe we do a power slap here with Lucas during the commercial break. Robert, how do we feel about that?
The only thing I would be slapping.
Everybody knows. I don't think
stay away from his ass.
Those cheeks, boy.
we can't get John Henderson in studio for an interview. I don't think you guys would be able to tell us apart. It would just be confusing.
It would have been. Slay's 1-year anniversary was Father's Day. It was yesterday. And it was funny to see some of the pictures and images from 1 year ago at Slay's wedding, and John Henderson was in attendance. It would have been funny to have a picture of the two of you just next to each other.
The same picture.
Yeah.
Spot the difference.
HR wants you to tell us what the difference between these two pictures are.
Oh, Joe, that ain't good enough. Come on, Joe.
Legendary stuff.
That was Lucas before the game before the show because he had too many beers at Fog Street yesterday.
I would like to explain that is sound of John Henderson getting slapped in the face.
Yes.
And nothing else nefarious.
Not Lucas being slapped in the ass.
Yes.
You'll have to tune in. Robert likes to turn my camera on during the commercial breaks while I'm trying to eat. We'll just have Robert in here goosing Lucas on live camera during the commercial break for the audience today.
I'm moving slow.
Streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch. I'm so sorry for you.
I did not eat well this weekend.
Yeah, well, you had an exciting trip to Chicago though. You had a last minute call up to travel with the team to do the Nashville SC Chicago Fire game. I saw many funny memes after the fact. It was a 2-0 victory.
2-0, yeah.
2-0 victory for Nashville SC en route to 11 unbeaten.
They're rolling.
Results. So you were very excited, rightfully so. We were excited for you to be on the Westwood One call, Westwood One's first call for the U.S. men's national team. But I told you yesterday that the U.S. men's national team had to die so Nashville SC could live.
No, had a great time in Chicago. The City of Angels was a great experience. Very windy in Chicago.
Not what they call it.
I don't know if you guys knew that. But Nashville SC is red hot right now, man. Nobody wants to play them. Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge are the best duo in Major League Soccer at the moment. They play a fun brand of soccer, and they just continue their rise up to third in the East.
J.J. Spawn wins the U.S. Open, a very taxing U.S. Open, a triumph, it should be, at Oakmont, one of the most difficult courses to play. Just had all these golfers in hell. And, I was having a conversation. I've got a gambling group text called Gamblers Digest, and, guys will throw out picks and stuff like that. Guys will talk about, bets that they've lost, bets that they've won, whatever. And I had a fair amount of complaining from one dude in the group text about the degree of difficulty for the U.S. Open and how he doesn't enjoy watching this one person didn't enjoy the U.S. Open because the golfers are struggling on the course. But, I don't want to see dudes finish 20 under. I want to see them go out there and fight for it. I think that's why the U.S. Open likes to have it at Oakmont as often as they do. I think the membership at Oakmont almost demands, I said membership.
That's why you corrected yourself.
Yeah, that's right. At Oakmont almost demands that the course be that difficult. They don't want them to come in there and just have the run of the place. They want to see the best golfers in the world have to go out there and fight for it. I rather enjoy the U.S. Open that way. I think the golfers kind of relish the challenge. None of them seem to complain about these things as much as the audience does. So maybe it's not the most aesthetically pleasing golf to watch, but I really enjoy the competition. I really enjoyed seeing Spawn work through the delay and then come out victorious and drill that, what was it, a 64-foot putt?
Yeah, it was electric.
It was ridiculous.
He only needed to get it in the hole in 2, and he got it in 1, and it was insane. It's rare when you're watching a golf broadcast to hear the microphone overmodulated on the broadcast.
But because how often are golf broadcasters getting up that way, right?
I mean, they called this thing. Robert, I'm going to send this in to our little Twitter chat here. If we could play this audio from the network broadcast, because it sounded like a buzzer beater 3. That was awesome on 18. Usually walking up to the 18th hole, there's already a celebration going on because the leaders got it wrapped up. So for a major tournament to come down to 18 anyway is awesome. And then for it to finish in this fashion was electric yesterday.
Are we going to play it?
Is y'all's Twitter down?
Oh, is Twitter down?
My Twitter is down.
I just sent it in, but
mine is not.
Oh, well, you play it, Buck.
Yeah, that's not how this works.
Play it into the microphone.
I actually could do that. Do you want me to do that?
No, I don't want you to do that.
That would be such bad
it's
radio.
Working now.
We've done it before.
Please don't do that. Please don't do that.
Want to cozy it up. Don't need to make it. 2 putts.
Very cool. Congrats to J.J. Spawn.
It looks better than it sounds. He just kind of looked up.
Man, that was electric.
Yeah. Didn't quite have the effect that you were hoping for, did it, bud?
No.
And then there's my Indiana Pacers, who are in Game 5 of the NBA Finals tonight, going back to OKC. They squandered Game 4 at home in Indy. I was miserable about it. I hate Scott Foster with the rage of 1,000 suns. I don't know why. Do you know his nickname?
I love a good Dean scream. No, I don't know Scott Foster's
By the way, imagine that, losing somebody a presidential election and then living in today's politics.
Yeah.
The guy sounded too unhinged because he screamed too loud. And the White House! Yeah, and now fast forward to 2025. What's going on in Washington this weekend?
I don't know anything about Scott Foster's nickname.
Scott, well, it could have multiple meanings, I suppose, but Scott Foster's nickname is the Extender because he happens to miss calls or maybe makes a call that would have a significantly consequential outcome on a series, potentially getting extended, and one such call was made in Game 4 that made me absolutely tear my hair out and then have to go chain smoke cigarettes with Robert on the patio at Sonny's after the fact just to get me through the pain and suffering of Matherin missing his free throws at the end of it, because Scott Foster misses a clear and obvious travel by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who, by the way, was excellent. Like, I'm not even mad. If I just got beat by SGA, I would be okay today. And I would have been okay on Friday night and on Saturday and then everything else. But the fact that it was SGA that the travel was missed on, that's the bucket that gives them a 1-point lead, a lead that they would never relinquish for the remainder of I think it was like 3.5 minutes left in the game. And then, Indiana loses the game down the stretch because they can't make their free throws as well. But I hate the idea of Scott Foster having such an impactful role in so many of these playoff series across his entire career, and the NBA continues to put him on games. It's disgusting. It makes me insane.
The only thing that's not disgusting is how upset you were about your team losing, and I would like all of Nashville, Tennessee, and the world to combine together to form one giant ball of negativity to go, we don't care that your team lost. You talk crap about all of our teams. You make fun of all of us when our team loses.
Ravens. Are you wearing a Ray Rice jersey?
That's not important. You don't need to turn this around on me.
That's a 27 on your chest.
This is how bad of a person Buck is. His buddy sitting at the table had multiple bets in. He needed the Thunder to win by 7. He had money line. He needed
he needed Halliburton to have a steal.
Right, which he got in the last.
At the very end by a technicality. It was garbage.
Dude ends up winning enough money to cover all night's bar tabs, and all Buck can do is sit outside and poutfully smoking a cigarette. My team lost. We didn't even lose the series. We lost the game. So I do not feel bad for you about your team losing.
It was funny because we were out on Friday night when you were in Chicago, and Cheyenne, Robert's lovely girlfriend, commented several times on the fact that she'd never seen me act that way while watching a sporting event in our time knowing each other. And there were some listeners to the show who were sitting a couple of tables over watching me scream profanities at Matherin while he was missing his free throws at the end, and Scott Foster just cursing his name.
Robert's got a point. You have taken a lot of enjoyment out of a lot of people's pain over the last couple of years, so I don't blame anybody for enjoying a little bit of your pain.
It's fine, as long as they end. Like, if you told me, but seriously, if you told me that they were 2-2 going to OKC in Game 5, like, I should be thrilled about that. They were 9.5-point underdogs in Game 1. If they win this series, it'll be one of the biggest upsets in NBA Finals history.
They're going to scrap. I mean, I'd be surprised if this series doesn't go 7 games, honestly. Like, I feel like the Pacers will not allow this series to end before 7 games.
And I truly feel that way, but my issue is the Thunder. I mean, the reason why I'm pessimistic about it is because the Thunder still have the best player on the court. SGA, he's the MVP. He's far and away better. Halliburton is creating his star through these playoffs, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is excellent.
Lucas, you didn't know Scott Foster's nickname, but would you like to redeem yourself and give me Buck's nickname from this weekend?
Oh, please.
Scott Foster is the extender. Buck is the babysitter. He was making extra money because the parents weren't coming home late for all of the drinks that he was babysitting.
Do you know how much I threw up on Saturday because your girlfriend kept bullying me into keeping? Robert, I had to have drank a gallon of tequila soda by the time that was over. And by the way, I finished both of those watered down drinks because Cheyenne wouldn't get off my neck.
Cheyenne going, he had that drink so long the ice melted. You guys had this drink so long the ice melted.
Yelling at me in the bar.
Cheyenne holds you accountable.
I mean, every time. Why is this the thing? Why does Cheyenne
She holds everybody accountable.
It is because I have hit her with how much are you getting paid?
I was just going to.
So many times.
I was going to have you stop after you said hit her wearing a Ray Rice shirt.
Oh, come on. Come on. No one sees me.
I do.
No one sees me.
I'm the only person who can see you during this show because Lucas has to turn around to look at you. I am looking direct. The only thing that I can see through the glare of my ring light is the number 27 on that Ravens jersey. Shameful.
It could be J.K. Dobbins.
I was going to say, you don't know.
It's not. It's faded enough. That's Ray Rice.
I've had this since like high school.
That's right. 615-737-1045 is the number. Ramon Foster is going to hang out with us because he hasn't worked enough this morning. Coming up next. Imagine this. You are somebody who works from home, and all of a sudden your power goes out. We're about to be underwater here in the city of Nashville, Tennessee for basically the next week. And if you're somebody who is being impacted, or your home or your power is being impacted by the adverse weather situations that we continue to face year-round here in Middle Tennessee, then Premier Generators is here to help you. It's happening more and more lately, and there's no need to compromise with Mother Nature anymore. Consider owning a home generator. It could be the smartest investment that you make. Let the experts at Premier Generators help you out. They know their craft inside and out and will ensure the best generator for your own unique needs. Premier Generators is the largest certified generator dealer in Tennessee, and they always offer a 10-year warranty on all of their products. Free consultation is there and available for you, so what are you waiting for? Contact them today at premiergenerators.com or call them at 615-439-2992. That's 615-439-2992, online at premiergenerators.com. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We are always happy to have Ramon Foster come kick it with us. Of course, you can kick it with him on weekdays, 6 to 10 a.m. Ramon and Will hanging out, holding it down. Big fella, we appreciate you stopping by.
Man, no problem. It's always a good time. The crew is finally back, and then you invite me into the party, too? With a little glow, really? I'm here for it.
Well, we have to. It's a slow process for us to reacclimate to each other because Robert usually has to break me and Lucas up because we'll just sit there and yell at each other for the first 20 minutes. We haven't seen each other in a while. It's like we
literally
gotta work
been
it out.
like 2 weeks since we had the normal version of the show.
Well,
sad to be back.
you just stay over there in your corner, all right? Thank you for keeping my seat.
Don't be hating on this corner over here.
It's a terrible corner.
It's a nice
over there.
corner over there.
No, there's
we
always
got a little
food debris in your
affinity for this
corner.
corner.
That part is problematic.
There's
Oh, yeah. Who's got the donut holes right in front of him right there?
Will, leave.
Just, okay. I'm looking at you feasting on those
Who
things.
ate the donut holes? I had one.
Yeah, hey, listen, you got to have one. I had one, so I had a blueberry one.
No, that's what I had. See, the blueberry cake donuts are my weakness.
By far, probably, we don't speak enough about how elite those are
They're
compared
just-
to glaze, okay?
No, glazed is the most generic.
We will not be glazing glaze.
No, there is no glazing of the glazed donuts here.
No.
Pause. Anyway,
Free and clear right there. When you say that, it was free and clear now.
so I have not gotten a chance. I did a little bit of it on Fox on Saturday night, but because Tweedledee and Tweedledipstick were holding it down here last week, I was at minicamp, so I really didn't get the chance to talk about the Shamar Stewart thing, and I sure as hell haven't talked about Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh until Saturday night. So I guess, and I know you've discussed it at length, but just between us girls here, what the hell do you feel about your organization and Aaron Rodgers at this point? Because I'm watching Art Smith press conferences in preparation for the national show like he's a hostage.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw you put on, I think he was sitting in the chair. He was like alpha stance. Right?
Yeah, you gotta take control, Art.
Get wide leg.
Yeah. Establish dominance.
It is. It can go either all the way up, all the way down for Pittsburgh at this point. Because I think a lot of the fan base is done with the, hey, no losing season side of it. You got to get past the first round of the playoffs. And that plays a huge part. My initial thought was, like, I've never seen Pittsburgh really wait on a guy. Like, we were in a situation before at the start of the season where there were rumors of Joe Hayden get released from the Cleveland Browns. It was So we waited on Joe, and Joe ended up coming and showing up. It was within, like, 2 weeks, I think, the way that situation was. This Aaron Rodgers fiasco, man, is very fascinating to me because what I do know is this. Coach Tomlin is a very he's a historian of all things football, specifically the NFL. We've seen him pregame, postgame, talking to like really good players like, I love your game. And I love that too because I'm of the mindset when you see the greats, you acknowledge the greats. And Aaron Rodgers is one of the greats that's played in the NFL. As of late, not so much. And I think they're they're wagering a lot of stuff on the idea that Aaron Rodgers is still available. And when you do that, you get one side, you get the other. You get red, you get blue. You get, you're going to do politics. You get that, right?
You can if you want to. I'm down.
I know. But you get far sides.
Quick, Ramon, what's your stance on Iran and Israel? Go.
We'll leave that alone right now. Okay, a lot of innocence out there. But with that being said, if you're right, they love you. And that's where I am with Pittsburgh in this decision to lay everything on Aaron Rodgers offensively. I do think they got weapons. I think the offensive line got to grow up a little bit more because they're youthful and new still. But Coach Tomlin, in my mindset, is thinking that version that we saw in the 2010 Super Bowl is somewhere inside of him. And he's a firm believer in those types of guys that I can squeeze out, and somehow, some way, Pittsburgh can take a dry orange and squeeze juice out of it. I don't know why. Is it him? I don't know why, if it's the culture. But if you screw this one up, I feel like this is a long fall for Coach Tomlin. And what I would say is this. A network going to pick him up. He going to make $10+ million a year anyway. If it happens.
To me, it feels like it could go, in ways that we don't expect, and I have very low expectations for the Aaron Rodgers experience at 41 years old. That's where, especially, losing George Pickens is not a small thing. DK Metcalf being there is one thing, but
see, that's the other issue. Losing George Pickens is also, every good team has two. Good wide receivers.
Yes.
You got a 1 and you got a solid 2, and I don't know who's the 2 right now for Pittsburgh.
Robert Woods.
Calvin Austin
Memphis Tiger.
Who's a better player than I think. It took him a little while to come on, but he's a better player than I think than most people would associate that name with. But still, he's not a 2.
I don't know if Aaron Rodgers is passed to a player like him.
Yeah,
that's the other side of it.
That's the other thing.
His receivers have been big. And I think there's a role for Calvin Austin, but the idea that he's your number 2 or Pat Freiermuth is your number 2, like Pat is a dog. I take him on any NFL roster at this point right now. But Aaron Rodgers needs a solid number 2, and that's what Pittsburgh's lacking right now. Robert Woods, right?
And they let go of Pickens for a reason, right? Like,
for sure.
Clearly, there's something that they don't want as a part of the fabric of that locker room.
George has conditioned a lot of their players to have people knock on the doors to get them to come to practice.
Yeah. That's not there are many things that Mike Tomlin has tolerated across his career.
Yeah.
That they were very quick to send off a player who's clearly talented is, I think, as notable a situation or as something that everybody should be paying attention to and have paid attention to. But I think that your point about like the Aaron Rodgers, Mike Tomlin experiment potentially not having the best ending, Ramon, I feel like we're trending that way with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh anyway.
Yeah.
Where they make the wild card, they don't have losing seasons, they get their doors blown off by whoever they face in the wild card. It's been that way for like the last 4 or 5 years at this point in time. I don't know that both coach and organization couldn't benefit from a fresh start in some form or fashion, even if Tomlin does go do TV or something like that for a period of time. Right. And I have no idea if he would even want to get back into it. He's been doing this for his entire life. Maybe he would like a little bit of a respite and then go back in refreshed or something. It wouldn't be unprecedented for a coach to do that. But I just feel like the combination of these things is setting up for a thing that I thought was not possible under any other circumstance, which I don't know if Mike Tomlin's going to be the coach of the Steelers next year.
Well, it's because you have coaches come in like Dan Campbell, right? You see what happened in Washington with Jaden Daniels, with these coaches, and also Sean Payton to reinvigorate himself in Denver. Like, Pittsburgh is also looking for that, too. Like, I do believe, like, the standard is a thing, and Coach Tomlin has held that high. And winning season after winning season, we speak, candidly at times, the Titans would love to be in that position. Cleveland would love to. Jackson, like, we got teams you can name off that would love to say, we're knocking at the door, but at a certain point in time, how does that record continue to play in your ear? You love the sound of like, yeah, I love this jingle. I've heard this time and time again. But then you say, when is Young Jeezy going to make something new? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's that part of it. Can you give me another hit? And that's where that franchise is right now. So there'll be teams crawling over glass, we like to say, to go get Coach Tomlin. Right? If he is let go, relieved of his duties. And that may be good for him. And it may be good for Pittsburgh too. But I love being able to go back there and see familiar faces. And Pittsburgh, I know as an organization with Mr. Rooney and how they run it for decades, love that too. Stability.
Ramon Foster, you know the voice, of course, 6 to 10 a.m. Ramon and Will hanging out here in studio talking some Steelers with us. We'll pivot to some Titans practice observations here in a second.
Yeah, before that, I'm just curious from you. What is success for Aaron Rodgers and the Pittsburgh Steelers in this marriage this year? Because getting to the wild card or even winning a playoff game would be hard for me to gauge as a successful season, given that that's been the floor in the Mike Tomlin era. So what to you is success, where you walk away from the 2025 season saying that was worth everything that it took to get to the point where he finally put pen to paper?
Second round of the playoffs. It has to be that, at a minimum. If he can get to the second round, what's that, divisional at that point? Divisional round of the playoffs, because Pittsburgh getting in has almost been out automatic in a sense. And then also, too, looking at the pathway to get there. Cincinnati, if they continue to fumble what they got going on defensively, that's very problematic for them on wasting Joe Burrow and Jamar and T's talents, and also being able to chase what Baltimore's got going on. If they can make it to the divisional round, I think that is success and buy Coach Tomlin time. But the other side of this too, you screw yourself. Why? Because you're going to be picking low in the draft again. The best part they have going for them, I think right now, they got 12 draft picks going into the 2026 draft. If they can mortgage that to try to move up into that top 15, because there's a lot of talent coming out with the quarterback draft next year, that'd be the best bet for a reset. The balance of being a sustainable franchise is having a whole lot of success and then sucking. Look at what the Rams got going on. I know they got the quarterback in Stafford, but they wagered themselves in saying, hey, we're going to have bleep them draft picks, we're going to win, and then we're going to reset. Now look at them. They got Verse, they got Fisk, they got a reset of the defense on top of having Matthew Stafford that's making them somewhat of a contender with Puka Nacua also in the mix too. So that's the balance right there. Trying to find a Washington reset, Commanders, But if Aaron Rodgers makes it to the divisional round, they're picking 24 to 26 again. So you don't get an opportunity to go get your quarterback. And Pittsburgh struck out on Kenny Pickett. And you are right now mortgaging, borrowing from the bank on quarterbacks.
Anthony Richardson, come on down.
Don't do that.
I don't want to do it. I'm sorry.
No,
Will Levis.
you meant it.
Can I offer you a Will Levis?
But
we were having a nice time.
why do y'all do this?
He started it.
We were family here, okay? Great. Y'all are the uncles that get sent out early.
No, I want him to stick around. I want the Colts to keep believing in him in the AFC South. That's what I want.
I'd take a Daniel Jones.
Okay.
That's crazy.
That's where we're at. Hard to find those QBs.
What Arthur Smith likes as an offense, man, that fits the mold.
Oh, no, he
Big
would work
arm,
there.
athlete, you know what I'm saying? Mobile, like it checks out. It does.
Well, you got to know a little bit of what Bill Callahan likes in an offensive line last year, and here they come with some returning starters, one playing in a different role in J.C. Latham, some new faces, the center trying to come back from injury. But it feels like, Ramon, that the ice is very thin for them in terms of the Titans fan base, right? Like that level of patience. This fan base is sick of terrible offensive line play, whereas there's going to be that sort of flexibility with Cam Ward, right? If he struggles week one, the fan base will be more understanding. If the offensive line rolls out there with new parts and pieces and struggles week one against an elite defense on the road, you would understand why, but there's not going to be that level of patience. Like, what to you is a fair expectation in terms of how long it should take for this offensive line to really come together and just get to the point, Moan, where they're league average, where they're just decent in 2025?
That's what a lot of people are asking for, average. And that's nuts to even think about, but I'll say this too.
Sad.
It's pathetic.
It's embarrassing.
But that's appropriate, though. What is it going to take? It's going to take a marriage between the quarterback and the offensive line. And I say that because Will Levis had over 12% sack rate. I think that was given. It was highest in the league, whatever his sack rate was. And that can make a average offensive line seem terrible. What I expect is this. Hopefully with coaching from Coach Bill Callahan, that Dan Moore corrects his technique, his ability to think not just on his block, but over the duration of the game, how to sustain it. That's got to be huge for Dan. Third year for Peter. This is the year you're judged. This is the year where you take that step. I think it got overshadowed last year on how well he played, at least on the passing side of things, that he held his own. And he got overshadowed because the quarterback didn't help out. That sucks. And I know that to be the case because being with us, Ben Roethlisberger with us will be of the mindset, screw that sack. We'll get it back. Like, I don't think Will Levis had that mindset to help those guys in those moments. You get Cush back off as Corey Levins, right? Experience more than anything. And then you look at that right side. I think, to me, in my personal opinion, they have this perfect setup if you can clean up Dan's sack and technique. I broke down all 12 of his sacks last year. Over-aggressive at times, lack of understanding, and he said something earlier in this OTAs and minicamp to where he spoke about, I think, looking at coverages. Pat Myers, offensive line coach in Pittsburgh, and I'm not sure if every coach, I don't think people understand, not every coach is graded as equals. Munch made us look at coverages, where the safeties are rocking. Hey, look where his stance is. He's probably moving inside on you. So we had a better understanding of the concept of defenses. And I'll be quite honest with you, I don't know if Dan got that in Pittsburgh. To be fair, and I ain't covering from, but I know that to be the case. My career went from okay to really good when Munch got to Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. And I'm hoping that's what happens for Dan. But the makeup that they have is this. They got a pass protection on the left side with Dan and Peter. That if you can get that quarterback's blind side, awesome. And then you ended up moving JC over to the right side. You got power on power with Zeitler and doggone or JC Latham. So for me, this is why I think Peter Skoronski takes his Pro Bowl move. If they on the front side can have it to where the front side blocks of the right tackle, right guard clears the pathway for a guy like Peter Skoronski to pull and get in space and open up the run games or set up the screen and get down the field, that is the balance that you want. Our offensive line was set up of power of me and Al on the left side with agility of the right tackle, right guard, and David DeCastro and whoever was beside him. That is the balance that you want, man. You want your road graders on the right side of the offensive line, and they've set that up right now to have it.
It's an interesting thing about quarterbacks, how much quarterbacks can cause detriment to their offensive line when they hold the ball. Because, I watch Cam in college, And there are moments when he will just get rid of it, right? And there are moments when he uses his skill set to evade pressure in the pocket and extend the play. And that's when some of the spectacular plays occur. But it's not like he's got a low average time to throw, which is the thing that I think they're hyper-focused on. I mean, they're hyper-focused on a variety of different things, but just trying to get him to play within structure, to play within rhythm, and just, live to see another down, as opposed to what they tried to coach the other guy out of, which is he's hunting big plays because he's got the arm to make a big play. So that's where his confidence is greatest at, because he knows he can do that thing until Danielle Hunter is in his face mask before he has even an opportunity to let that ball rip, or before the receiver has the opportunity to break into route. And Levis, the difference between Levis and Cam that is clear and obvious, even just watching them at practice, there's a couple. But Levis throwing at a receiver, as opposed to Cam giving them the opportunity to get yards after the catch and stuff like that, leading the receiver, throwing to a spot, as opposed to throwing it through a guy's chest, and all the different things that require an adjustment on the side of a Calvin Ridley or a Gunnar Helm or a Chigakonkwo or something like that. How much more beneficial that can be to the offense. But the question to me is, all right, can they get Cam to get rid of the ball in a reasonable time? Because I think PFF had him at, 2.99 seconds average time to throw last year, and that's not going to cut it in the NFL.
No, and that's something he's got to clean up.
Yeah.
But that's also something he's got to feel for certain stuff that he's doing. So I gave an example last week after I went to the Thursday practice. It was almost poetic. I was sitting in the end zone area where they were working at, and you saw I was talking, so I don't want to give it away. But we were having a discussion about Cam and his ability to have it. And he was like, there's going to be some issues that we have here and there. He's like, man, I don't even know how to explain it, but he has it. When that guy who is the Titans upper management person said he has it, we look back at the practice field and Cam gives a dot to DMR in the end zone. I was like that? And that person like, yeah, that's it. To your point about holding on to the ball and making plays and having the ability to say, screw those sacks, because that's a part of it too, or being able to evade it from time to time. Like if you look back at our old tape, I'm not making it seem like I was an all-star. I was almost the first alternate Pro Bowler, but hey, screw that. What I'm saying is this. Ben was under pressure.
We'll give it to you.
Still, that's the one I want to. But like Ben's under pressure numerous times. And there'll be times you spin out, or you go from 2nd and 7 to 3rd and 15, and this bleeper just makes a play. Does that sack matter anymore? No, because you got a first down. That's the part of the game that I think, to your point about Cam holding onto the ball, getting rid of it, has to play a part in. I can live life hard like this when I know on 3rd and 12 to 15, he might hit a dot on the sideline. That is the beautiful side of having the guy. Because also talking to this Titans higher up, like I was speaking about guys that they had been around, when you walk into stadiums and you might live on the edge, we used to call it living like rock stars, but you live on the edge and you walk into a Cincinnati, a Tennessee Titans, a Houston, a Baltimore, and you say, we got him. I do think that's what Cam brings. I think that's why Calvin Ridley's badgering him about ping pong. I think that's why they know they can go at him. I also would say this. This was a huge topic on Friday. That's why Cam probably has the edginess to drop a F-bomb here and there. Because those guys, Buck, Lucas, Burt, they got a little bit of edge to them. And I think the Nashville got introduced to that on Thursday.
We don't want to keep you any longer, and we have to go to break here. No, I know, but I don't want to keep you for 5 hours this morning. Well, it's just an interesting. I hate that we ended there, because you and I talked about, like, in the pre-draft, the difference between Cam and Shedeur and how much louder people thought Shedeur was versus who Cam actually is. And I think that was the first, at least, public introduction on a Nashville scale to where we had, almost a two Americas type of situation, if I'm being completely honest with you.
But he played it right. Mm-hmm. You know what Cam did? He used the Sanders Camp promotion against Shedeur, I felt like, in a sense. I'm going to just sit back. I'm going to make this all about football. I ain't going to say nothing. And I'm going to show y'all I'm the consummate pro when you need me to be. But that Savage that you are looking for, he here. And guess what, Nashville? I would say this too. I think your team need that dude. Because you know why? From my understanding, McNair was that way. Curse was that way. You had Albert Hainsworth on your team. I played against a menace called Woodley Westyard, okay? There are so many, just guy after guy that lives a menacing life like that created the Tennessee Titans mindset, in my opinion. Cam, I think, is what this team, the entire team, need, because Jeff, I feel like, got unnatural hate. And I say unnatural because that's what Jeff does. Jeff does that. You need another one, right? And I think Cam's the guy for the job. Who's the other dude on the offense that you believe is like that?
Ridley.
Hopefully.
But could he be if he ain't got the quarterback?
No, he was
ball
depressed last year.
Exactly.
Moan Buck was communicating through Bert to me. Hey, make sure we can't ask any more questions. We're up against it here. But then he got a new one. No. We appreciate you for being here. But what do you have to say for yourself?
Nothing. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Best hot chicken in the world. Download the Hattie B's app. You can get it mobile ordered. It's not open yet, but you can also schedule your delivery if you're so inclined. Hattie B's opens at 11 o'clock, so you can put your order in now for lunch, and you can have it ready to go right when you want it. 615-737-1045 is the number. So from some NFL talk to the NBA, I was shocked to see this Desmond Bane, Memphis Grizzlies, Orlando Magic trade. It is one of the most lopsided trades that I can remember, and we're talking about a year in which Luka Doncic was traded for pennies on the dollar to go from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers. There's been a lot of conversation about Kevin Durant trade destinations, which, tell me if you guys feel this way, and I don't know if you're as invested in the NBA Finals or just invested in pro basketball generally that this would pop up on your radar. But does it feel like transactions in the NBA are more important than the sport? Like, I feel like Kevin Durant.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin Durant being talked about right now while the NBA Finals is going on, that's not good for the league, is it?
It's the one sport where the transactional news is a bigger deal to people than most of the games. Like in the middle of the regular season, when Jimmy Butler heads to Golden State, for a brief moment, everybody is like, oh my God, look at that. Jimmy's headed to Golden State. And then proceed to not watch a single second of Jimmy Butler on the Golden State Warriors. So yes, that is absolutely a thing. Like what percentage of sports fans that had a visceral reaction to the Luka trade turned on 1 second of Luka with the Lakers in the regular season after that trade happened? Like maybe that first game, and maybe when he returned to Dallas?
I'd say 60%.
Ooh, I bet it's lower than that.
But I mean, it's the Lakers. If it was another team, if it was a smaller franchise, I might hear you out, but the Lakers are different. It's still a marquee franchise in the NBA. My point being, though, that Kevin Durant being talked about in the middle of the NBA Finals and that garnering more headlines than the actual NBA Finals is not great for the health of the sport, even though this Finals has been tremendous.
It's been awesome. Is it me, or has the NBA done a poor job of making the Finals feel like the Finals?
Well, Adam Silver just looks so desperate. He's going on all these shows. He keeps trying to compare it to Green Bay and Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Every time he talks about it, it makes it feel less.
But even the presentation of the broadcast.
Well, that's the ESPN thing.
I feel like I'm not watching the NBA Finals. I feel like I'm watching regular season games. And they finally put like the little Larry O'Brien trophy on the court graphic.
Like a sticker.
It looks kind of out of place. But like when I think Finals, I think about like a giant Larry O'Brien trophy, and it's all over the TV broadcast. I think about watching the player introductions with that. Remember when they had the giant Larry O'Brien trophy, like that players would get introduced and walk past, like on the court, like the NBA. And this could just totally be a nostalgia thing. Like, oh, this felt like a bigger deal when I was 13.
That's fine.
But I don't know, man. And to be fair, it could like subconsciously have something to do with the teams that are in it. But I just feel like it's been a great series, but I don't feel like I'm watching the NBA Finals, if that makes any sense.
No, I think there's a number of things at play there. But still, let's talk about this Desmond Bane trade because it's crazy. Orlando gets Desmond Bane. Memphis gets back Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, the number 16 pick in the 2025 NBA draft, a 2026 pick swap, 2 more unprotected first-round picks in 28 and 30, and a 2029 first-round pick with Orlando. That's insane. Now, if you wanted to be reductive about it, you could look at that trade and say, that's more than Luka Doncic got traded for. When in reality, that's just negligence on the part of the Mavericks, and Luka should have been traded for much, much more than that. But Desmond Bane, I don't know, what is Desmond Bane, like a top 15 guard in the NBA? He's a good player. He's a quality player. But what is Orlando doing going all in this way for one player? The Magic are not close to winning anything appreciable. I couldn't believe. I thought this was an Onion headline. I thought I got by the fake Shams or something like that on, what was this, Friday night that this happened? Saturday?
What is Memphis planning?
Do you think Ja gets traded? Is Ja Morant on the Grizzlies 2 years from now?
Yeah, I think this feels like a move to really boost what they have around Ja and Jaren Jackson and bring in Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but what do I want Kevin Durant for if I'm a Grizzlies fan? He's not Kevin Durant anymore. Like, definitively, he's not getting. I don't know how much Suns basketball you were watching this year.
Zero. I'm not going to sit here and say and argue with you because I have no basis to argue on.
Well, I mean, just think about his age and think about the injuries that he's had, and you don't have to go too far to understand that Kevin Durant is probably not at the peak of his powers anymore. Doesn't mean that Kevin Durant is not still a good quality NBA basketball player, but he's not a game-changing player the way that I think you might expect that name would carry that connotation. I think it's going to be an interesting NBA offseason, to be honest with you, because I think there's going to be people out there hunting white whales like Kevin Durant, and then you're going to see a bunch of trades that are in response to player movement around the NBA. I just didn't have Desmond Bane being that big a part of it.
Ron on the FNN Bank chat says Giannis to Memphis.
That would be great. That would be awesome.
Not to put a damper on anybody, but I think teams that were interested in Giannis have started to back off because he is not going to request a trade. Teams like the Rockets, the Raptors, anybody that was interested in that initial Giannis trade.
Because you've been documenting this for your Toronto Raptors.
That is correct.
So it'll be interesting to see what the Grizzlies do. I don't know. I don't feel confident in Ja being on that team in 2 years. Like, I get maybe this year they're trying to they fired the coach to pacify him, which, by the way, do you see who the Knicks are interviewing? Taylor Jenkins.
Yeah. Yeah. The Knicks if you're a Knicks fan, Taylor Jenkins is a good coach. But if you're a Knicks fan and you fired the guy that brought you back to the conference finals for the first time in over 3 decades to turn around and hire the fired Grizzlies coach, that's got to be a tough pill to swallow.
615-737-1045 is the number if you want to jump in. How would you tease this next segment? Because all it says in my grid is the Pine Straw Scammer.
That works.
Find out now.
It is 11:01. Good morning from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In NFL news, the Bengals and star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson have resumed contract talks, according to ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. Hendrickson has not participated in the offseason program during the contract dispute. The U.S. Open came down to the wire at Oakmont, and J.J. Spawn drilled a 64-foot putt on 18 to win his first ever major, finishing at 1 under. There was a blockbuster trade in the NBA over the weekend. The Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane to the Magic in exchange for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, plus Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round picks, and a first-round pick swap. The NBA Finals continue tonight. Game 5 in Oklahoma City. The Pacers and Thunder tied up at 2 games apiece. Tip-off is at 7:30. College World Series, Arkansas is on the brink. They face Murray State in an elimination game today at 1 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Our lead to start the second hour is simply titled The Pine Straw Scammer. So this was a story that happened last week that between the three of us and all the different moving pieces and parts, we didn't have a chance to get to. But it is a fascinating one and one with local ties. So this reporting from the Knoxville News-Sentinel and several other outlets reporting on it, specifically our buddy Adam Sparks. Former Tennessee football player Grant Firking, who gained fame, this is directly from the article on KnoxNews.com, who gained fame during his player career as the teenage CEO of what was described as a $1 million company, has tumbled into a mess of financial scams and legal issues that have him asking former Vol athletes for loans. In the past 6 months, a Davidson County judge has ordered Firking to vacate 2 apartments in swanky Nashville neighborhoods where he ran up nearly $16,400 in unpaid debts, according to court documents reviewed by Adam Sparks and the rest of the crew at the Knoxville News-Sentinel. He has been accused of pretending to work for Metro Straw, his former ground cover business, to collect money from customers who sent payments believing he still worked there, only to be left without actual products being delivered. His girlfriend is also caught up in this situation where she was essentially the middleman for the money being exchanged in all of this. So hopefully there's not legal connotations for her if she was an unknowing party or an unwitting party in the middle of all this. But apparently, and this a quote from Doug Proctor, one of the customers who Knox News talked to, Grant Firking is a lying, unscrupulous SOB. All the time, he bills himself as a star football player at Tennessee, as well as a gifted businessman. What a phony. He needs to be exposed. Yeah. This was somebody who, before NIL, he was thought of as being on the forefront of this as a player who had started his own business. He was doing the rounds and media interviews. I believe he was employed by On3 Sports for a period of time. He was helping them with navigating the NIL landscape and things like that. He was thought to be somewhat of a trailblazer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there were features written about him. David Ubben did a big feature on The Athletic, and, I mean, he was billed as the most interesting walk-on in college football. Countless segments on the Paul Feinbaum Show, and Tennessee used him as a resource. I mean, he was just this big figure when it came to this new era of name, image, and likeness. He was kind of one of the faces of it as a student athlete that made his own business, that was an entrepreneur, and kind of guided a lot of other student athletes, particularly at Tennessee, as well as the Tennessee Athletic Department, into this new phase of name, image, and likeness. This story's kind of crazy. Shout out to Mike Wilson, Adam Sparks, and Tyler Whetstone, who worked together on this for Knox News. I mean, from the $16,400 that you're talking about is just in the Gulch alone. Yeah. And just unpaid rent, straight up. I mean, he's getting evicted. He is pretending like he still works for Metro Straw, who has had to come out and say, no, we have no affiliation with this guy anymore. kind of a crazy turn for a guy that was just looked so favorably just across college football.
My question is, how did this go for so long before it finally got reported on? And I understand that, like, when you're being thorough in reporting, and I'm not doing the level of journalism that Sparks or Mike Wilson are on a story like this, but I understand that when you're putting together a story like this, it takes time. Didn't you have Sparks on last week?
Yeah.
Was this before it broke?
He was, he was busy, and he was like, yeah, I could squeeze in this segment. And we talked about, because he wrote a great article about how Tennessee plans to attack revenue sharing, and the House settlement had just finally been approved. And then this dropped the next morning, and he texted me when it dropped and said, now you can see why I was so busy. And I was talking to Sparks a little bit about it, and because I've heard from people that work at the facility that have been around Tennessee's program that have said something was always kind of off about that guy. And it's easy to say now, but I was talking to Adam about it. He was like, yeah, I was getting a lot of that too, writing this story, just talking to people that would say, yeah, you know what? That's actually not terribly shocking. He did create this company, like as a teenager, right? Which is why this story was so impressive, because here was this teenager that was a high school football player that of his own volition, like, worked his butt off and created this company that started to have some success, primarily in the, central Georgia area. And I don't know when it all started to take a turn, but this paragraph from the Knox News article says Metro Straw was so uncomfortable with his business practices that the company posted a warning this spring about him on its website to protect people from being scammed by him. A customer who paid him but never received product told Knox News that he told them he worked for Metro Straw. Here's the quote in an undated text box on the website posted this spring. Quote, Metro Straw and former owner Grant Furking have parted ways for 2 years. Metro Straw does not associate with Grant Furking in any way. On3 Sports has been, Shannon Terry has come out and said that he lied to us in terms of his association with the University of Tennessee, that On3 reportedly or repeatedly told him he could not have any affiliation with the football program while he was working for On3 Sports. He said he didn't. Now, it's showing that he did have a lot of association with Josh Heupel in the football program. And that's not even like an NCAA violation thing, right? That's an On3 Sports policy.
Nor a legal thing.
No, it's not. But On3, here's the statement from Shannon Terry. On3 is aware of allegations concerning a former employee whose employment ended on May 27th. On3 has a zero-tolerance policy for blatant violations of its internal standards and values and takes allegations of criminal misconduct especially seriously. An internal investigation into the allegations is ongoing. On3 has no further comment at this time. So the legal issue here is him scamming clients, right, and not paying rent. I think the internal policy issue for On3 Sports is an employee of the company working directly in conjunction with a football program and its recruiting. And that is an On3 thing. And Shannon Terry came out and said, yeah, he lied to us about working with Tennessee, repeatedly saying that he wasn't. So I don't know where this all took a turn, but the Pine Straw scammer is now how Grant Furking is known, as opposed to this shining example of a student athlete also being an entrepreneur and being this guiding light in this new era of name, image, and likeness.
Which brings us to one of our newest investors into the radio show. Need mulch that's rich in nutrients and character? Come on down to Metro Mulch, your locally owned, definitely legal source of premium landscaping materials. No funny business here, just good old-fashioned dirt deals, cash-only discounts, and absolutely no embezzling. Wink, wink. Metro Mulch, we're layering your lawn with love.
Email frantgurking@gmail.com.
You make a joke like the radio station wouldn't take money from a company like that.
Metro Mulch, where everything's above ground, mostly.
The legal side of this is even more concerning when you talk about the level of scamming that he did and the civil suits that he has lost. He's faced a dozen civil court claims in little more than 2 years for allegations ranging from the unpaid rent that we mentioned to stiffing a limo driver. So it's not just that he lied and stole people's money, is that he did it in a way to prop himself up as somebody who was uber successful and was spending money that he did not have, spending people's money that he did not have for business service that he did not pay off in this situation. And just, I don't know, Like, how does somebody live that way?
He left the
That
company.
sounds so stressful.
It's been 4 years since he left Metro Straw. July 2021, according to his LinkedIn bio. Yet, as recently as mid-May, according to this reporting, he has been contacting customers on behalf of a company he hasn't worked for in 4 years, acting as a representative of the company and making promises that, of course, go unmet after he gets the cash. I will also say this sounds like a cause of customers and clients not really doing a ton of research on who they're sending money to. Feel like just a tiny bit of research, they could see that this guy doesn't work anymore for this company, like literally going to the company's website or going to his LinkedIn.
Seeing the warning label on the company's website about him.
Feel like a lot of these could have been avoided by some of these people, but they were still taken advantage of, and it's not right.
Something you'll never have to worry about being taken advantage of. Arrive in style and leave the questions to us at Midnight Mirage Limo. We offer top service luxury, discreet drivers, and an unusual understanding of confidentiality. Whether it's prom night, a corporate gala, or a late night trip to the docks, Midnight Mirage gets you there in comfort. No cameras, no questions, no paper trail. Wink, wink. Midnight Mirage Limo, where the ride is smooth, and so are the alibis.
It sounds like a trafficking situation. No cameras?
I can't help it. I'm just reading what is presented to us by, what'd you say this guy's name was, Lucas?
Frank Gherkin.
Frank Gherkin.
I would like that music. I would like that elevator music under every live read that I do from now on, please. Thank you. Oh, my God. There's never been something more pretentious and more me than that music. Unless you have like a little classical piano ditty back there.
What's your, we're not playing any ditty here, sir. At the 2 Rivers mark at 11:52, we'll put a little classy music behind you.
Love that. It has quotes in here from customers that he scammed. And
what a crazy. Give me the quotes.
Let's hear it.
They have quotes from people he scammed.
Multiple.
There are many quotes from people.
I never got my pine straw.
Literally, he charged me half the amount 3 times and never did anything.
Again.
Yeah, come on, keep them coming.
It feels avoidable. A lot of these feel avoidable.
I assumed it was a female business partner. Now they're talking about the girlfriend who was receiving these payments. I assumed it was a female business partner. Then I looked at her history, and it was silly stuff like drinks and birthday cake and nothing to do with pine straw.
So you looked at her history.
There's literally a paper trail on Venmo, you idiots.
After sending boatloads of money, there are red flags all over the place.
Why
here.
were you looking after the fact? What were you looking for, sir?
Still sent these people money.
OnlyFans payments? What do you want?
Why? Anybody who doesn't have their Venmo transactions on private is stupid, by the way. Wait, yes, I would like everyone to see who I'm sending money to and why. What are we doing?
I never understood why Venmo transactions were public in the first place. I don't want people to know who I'm sending money to for what?
Like some of these people that spoke for this article who had the SOB, Doug Proctor. How many?
That's the same person that was charged 3 times for pine straw.
Okay, a lot of scammers out there are going to be like, all right, Doug Proctor,
He's
easy
next.
target. Yeah. Quick Facebook DM.
Next.
And then he's involved in another article 3 months from now.
What a mess. So, yeah, that's the pine straw scammer at this point in time, and we will keep you updated. Is he on the lam? Has he been...
he hasn't responded.
Is there a warrant?
He and Metro Straw have not responded. Knox News has reached out for comment, and unsurprisingly, they have not. They've ghosted him.
This is the most a landscaping company will ever be discussed on this radio show outside
and we
of
do ads
Dickens.
for them.
Yeah, outside of Dickens.
Hey, shout out Dickens. They're good people.
Yeah, and you'll get what you pay
and you're
for.
going to get what you pay for, and then some.
They won't launder their Venmo transactions through a girlfriend.
That's right. That's right. All these people should have gone straight to Dickens.
Yeah, Trey ain't going to do nothing like that to y'all. Locations in Bellevue.
I was about to say, you're just trying to get me to do another live show in front of a leaf blower and then have me guess what the equipment is. That was such a funny game. Such a funny game. Anyway.
Looks like it cuts something.
We have headlines?
Yeah.
They're next.
It's time for NFL headlines.
Well, for
With
the first
Lucas Panzica.
You knew he was going to do that. And can you even say it's time anymore if you're going to let it go for 4.5 minutes?
It's almost time.
I mean,
we only have 50 seconds left. I've never heard what the end of this song. Oh, very debonair.
see, this is how I know you've been lying to me for the better part of 2 years since we started doing this bit, because you just admitted that you've never heard this far into the song. You're just playing it longer and longer every week.
How long is it?
I think it's like a minute and 50 seconds.
Feels so much longer.
There's only 25 seconds
I'm
left.
literally sitting here playing games on my phone, waiting for you to start talking.
The poor F&M Bank chat.
It's just sitting
They're
in
never going to
silence.
get to bathe in the beauty that is this music.
You know what? No, we're not capitulating for 300 people live streaming on the live stream. Whatever it is, we love you. We appreciate you. We can't do everything to placate you. You're going to be fine.
YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. Subscribe while you're there. For the first time in several months.
Oh,
No, damn it.
I restarted.
I will come back there.
That wasn't my fault. I'm trying to fix it. Just do the show.
The Cincinnati Bengals
Oh, okay,
have
I got it.
resumed communication
I could kill you.
with star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson.
Oh,
this
good.
is from ESPN's Jeremy Fowler. As you know, and we've talked about many times, Hendrickson coming off an all-pro season. He has led the league in sacks each of the last 2 years, 17 sack seasons in 2023 and 2024. He wants a long-term deal. Cincinnati has not wanted a long-term deal. Very famously, it has been a very public holdout. Hendrickson did show up to voluntary OTAs in street clothes to talk to the media, and then has not participated in anything since then. He has been subject to fines of nearly $105,000, and he has talked about there being a lack of communication, that at some point they just stopped talking, and they have resumed talks. So we'll see, as simultaneously,
I was about to say, you know why they're starting to talk.
yeah, they don't want to pay the first-round pick that they drafted to potentially replace Trey Hendrickson, a developmental pass rusher, and Shamar Stewart, who didn't participate really in any of the offseason stuff
And
as a
left
rookie.
mandatory
And left.
minicamp early.
Yes, visibly frustrated, talking about guarantees that the Bengals are trying to void out of his contract that they have given to first-round picks in the past. And
Literally last year.
It's a mess. It's an unmitigated disaster what the Bengals are doing right now with their pass rush. Robert and I were talking about this a lot last week, honestly. And, I mean, we literally talked about it, Robert. Who is the pass rusher Sam Hubbard, who just retired? Like, who's going to rush the passer for the Bengals? If they can't figure this out with Trey Hendrickson, they're forced to trade him, where there will be suitors. And if somehow this just devolves into a disaster with Shamar Stewart, where, by the way, there is a scenario, an unlikely scenario, but right now everything seems on the table, where Shamar Stewart could just circle back around to next year's draft if he doesn't sign with Cincinnati, which would not be ideal to have a gap year for a developmental pass rusher. What would he do? Go to Canada? I don't know. Play in the UFL?
He could sit out. He could just sit out and train.
Man, well, the headline is Hendrickson and the Bengals have resumed talks amid this mess.
So they don't have a choice because Shamar Stewart may not play for them. I mean, there's a real chance that he doesn't play for the Bengals. He's not under contract. The quote from him famously is, at least Trey Hendrickson is 1% wrong because he's under contract. I'm 100% right. He is being told by teammates, veteran teammates in his locker room. I don't know if you saw those clips going around, that he is in the right, because they famously, I mean, we've all heard stories about the Bengals organization. Carson Palmer is out there publicly now. I don't think he's doing media, but he's doing interviews. I don't think he's like hosting shows and stuff like that, but he's doing interviews, and he's being asked about the Bengals and their financial situation or their financial tactics. But to me, it's not about the money. It's about showing the players who's in charge and looking like fools over it. Like it's a power struggle is what this is. They're not worried about the money. They're trying to show these players who the boss is, and they're losing. They look like clowns.
Yeah, they look.
The last time I saw an executive this headstrong about winning a negotiation was John Robinson and A.J. Brown.
Yeah.
And listen, we would be fools to not acknowledge that the people negotiating these deals are at least, you know, maybe they're not as competitive as the people playing the games, but they have competitive nature, right? They are trying to get the best deal they think possible for their organization. John was just trying to do what he thought was in the best interest of the Tennessee Titans. I truly and honestly believe that. He botched it, right? Maybe Katie Blackburn, who's at least the executive whose voice is most publicly on this for the Cincinnati Bengals, instead of their general manager, Duke Tobin, maybe she's trying to do what she believes is in the best interest of the organization. That's fine. But they look foolish. They're getting it wrong. The players are more important than they are. Can you imagine a situation in which they squander Joe Burrow's career? Because I can. I feel like I'm watching it.
I feel like...
What if the closest that Joe Burrow gets to it is that Super Bowl appearance in 2020, was that, one?
I hear what you're saying in terms of how they handle things around Joe Burrow. They have locked in Jamar Chase, as we know.
But how long did that take them, Lucas?
Yeah, it took forever.
How long did the Burrow
And it just got more expensive because it took forever.
They dragged their heels on Burrow.
I think Joe Burrow himself is...
He wasn't last year.
He's going to be fine, but you're right. It's about how they take advantage around him because last year he played the best season of his career.
I would argue that Joe Burrow was MVP worthy, performed at an MVP worthy level.
You hope that it doesn't, if you're a Bengals fan, what you don't want is Joe Burrow to have that Dan Marino career where you get to the Super Bowl early, you lose, and there's this general thought that, he'll be back and he's going to win a few of these with how great this player is. It's starting to kind of feel like that with Joe Burrow because of the Bengals organization. They got to that Super Bowl early, and he just had that feeling like, he's too good. He'll be back here. But he might not with how incompetent the organization he plays for is. We'll see.
What else you got?
Well, before we get to that, have you guys heard this Katie Blackburn comment? It came out late last week on the situation surrounding both Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson.
I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job. That's bleeding. I need some trash to plug up the cut.
Some trash.
Very transparent.
It's as honest as she's been the entire way through this process.
I'm serious.
Oh, man. We need more of that. More Always Sunny drops on this show. That's fantastic.
What's the next headline? Actually, read me a liner and then do the next headline.
I don't have any.
Okay.
Antonio Brown faces a charge of attempted murder.
Why don't you have any liners?
And he is wanted. They were not sent to me. I feel like you really just skimmed over that. Antonio Brown wanted for attempted murder.
Oh, yeah, I did. I didn't hear that one at all. What is that? When did that happen?
This broke a few days ago. This was actually on Thursday that this news broke. But the charge is based on a shooting that Brown was allegedly involved in during a celebrity boxing event in Miami last month. Now, I remember there being videos of this. Like, there was a big scuffle outside of this event. AB was in the middle of it, and then suddenly gunshots rang out. And he was detained by police that night after gunshots were fired at the boxing event, which was hosted by an online streamer named Aiden Ross, whatever that is. Brown was seen fighting with several people.
How old did he just sound?
What is an Aiden Ross? Neither of you know what that is.
He's like one of the bigger streamers right now. Like
Robert convinced some kid that was asking us at the zoo what we were doing and who we worked for that we were working for Aiden Ross.
I told him I was Aiden Ross, and he followed me around for the rest.
Literally, some Gen Z or what? Maybe even younger than Gen Z. I don't know. Some kid working at a concession stand was convinced that we were, working for somebody high profile. No, we're just.
He was like, "Where's Speed?
Where's Speed?" By the way, that's embarrassing for Ashton Hall. Very embarrassing. Anyway,
Speed's pretty fast.
We're doing
might as well be speaking another language right now. Brown, I do know who I Show Speed is. Brown was seen fighting with several people on a video posted to social media. Gunshots could clearly be heard after the altercation. They released him after a few hours, and he posted an explanation to social media the following day. So again, this was last month after the event happened. His statement was, "I was jumped by multiple individuals who tried to steal my jewelry and cause physical harm to me. Contrary to some video circulating, police temporarily detained me until they received my side of the story and then released me. I went home that night and was not arrested. I will be talking to my legal counsel and attorneys on pressing charges on the individuals that jumped me." But according to the warrant, witnesses told police officers that Brown was the shooter, and 2 shell casings were found at the scene. He was unarmed at the time he was detained, but the man he allegedly punched during the altercation told police that Brown began to run toward him with a firearm after the fight had already been broken up and shot at him twice. So, AB, wanted for attempted murder. That dropped on Thursday. I have not seen any development since.
Well, he's back on Twitter. He's blaming the media He's taking the tact of his favorite president, 47. He's blaming the media for all the wrongs against him. All right, so I have had this opinion about Antonio Brown for a while because we can all agree that Antonio Brown is very, very problematic on social media, but also, we would be lying if we didn't laugh at some of the stuff that he did, right? Like, AB has been a fixture in this world for some time. Until it gets serious, right? Until whatever's going on in his head. You ever go back and watch, and it'd be interesting to talk to Ramon about this. Hell, I didn't even think to talk to Ramon about this earlier. You ever watch Antonio Brown interviews from 15 years ago? Where he's just a completely normal functioning human being, and what he is now, and just how warped that character seems to become. It's funny until it gets scary. And he's caught up in the middle of murder allegations now. And besides the problematic stuff, he's been hurling gay slurs at Caleb Williams all day.
Yeah, I saw that
this morning because there's some quote out there from Caleb Williams about not being interested in girls at a certain age in his grade school career or something like that because he was so focused on football.
I mean, and then he has a weekly segment on his Twitter where it's slur of the week.
Yes.
It'll be a slur for this or a slur for that. Anything that happens in social media.
Yeah, so he's trying to I don't know if he's trying to counteract whatever he thinks cancel culture is or whatever I don't know what he's trying to accomplish other than Antonio Brown has become a commodity on social media until he has murder allegations hovering around him and until he does stuff, all those problematic stories coming out about him on his trip to Saudi Arabia last year. Do you remember that when he was doing in a pool?
Yeah.
There's just, I don't know whether, and I'm as guilty of this as anybody. I have enjoyed Antonio Brown's social media presence, even though I acknowledge that there's a good degree of it that is awful. I don't know what's going to happen to him. It's his trajectory is concerning to me. Is about as diplomatic as I could put it.
This might be redundant, but TMZ caught up with him outside of a Tampa Bay bar this weekend. I haven't got to listen to this. Hopefully he doesn't cuss, but this is AB's comments on the situation.
I botched that one. Oh, that's a botch job. That's bleeding. I need some trash to plug up the cut.
That's such a good episode.
I love when I can build something up and I see Buck getting invested. Ooh.
No. That wasn't investment. That was fear. I'm you're not going to off the rip play an Antonio Brown cut and say, I hope he doesn't cuss when he's out here hurling gay slurs at Caleb Williams on Twitter. What else you got?
Great stuff. Remember Cam Akers?
What, the murder charge or the gay slurs?
No, the drop from Always
Which
Sunny.
one is great stuff?
The botched job
Tell
audio.
us, Lucas, which one do you support?
Do you have any idea what the context is from that?
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's Danny DeVito's character, Frank, has a toe knife.
I could tell that. A toe knife?
Yeah, it is a toe knife.
What is a toe knife?
It's a knife you would use to surgically repair your toe.
Well, it cleans out the scum from under townnails, and he uses a toe knife.
That just makes me think of Titans legend Chance Warmack talking about the stuff between his toes and calling it toe meat.
Ooh.
Remember Cam Akers?
Yeah.
Oh, I remember.
He signed with the Saints on Friday on a one-year deal after a tryout at minicamp last week. The Saints running back room now consists of Alvin Kamara, Cam Akers, and Devin Neal, who they drafted, and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Remember him?
Yes.
He's a New Orleans Saint.
Former first-round pick of the Kansas City
Yes. So Cam Akers, who is about to turn 26, still a young player, second-round pick by the Rams in 2020. His career high in 2022, and he was a pretty good player for LA, 786 rush yards. He had 9 touchdowns.
Oh, but he fell out of
season.
favor there.
He really did, very quickly.
So bad in pass pro in particular that they he was a liability on the field. I remember McVay, maybe not publicly taking him out, but that being very much a dialogue, a part of the dialogue around Cam Akers.
And they shipped him to Minnesota, and then he landed in Houston last year. And just hasn't really found any sort of consistent, productive groove since that 2022 season in L.A. He is now a New Orleans Saint, who obviously have Alvin Kamara as RB1 as he gets past the age of 30.
Are the Saints going to be any good? Like that, is there a team that's harder to figure out what they might be in 2025? And you may have an idea of what you think the Chiefs are going to be, or the Eagles, or the Titans, or whatever. But the Saints are just in such a weird spot. There's been so much weirdness around them. It makes me think less of them than I probably should, even though, their roster's not bad. I don't know what to make of the same, and it's compounded by that division.
Yeah, and it comes down to the quarterback position. Like Tyler Shuck. Is it Tyler Shuck thrown into the fire, getting the keys?
I don't think it matters.
That feels likely. I feel like it almost always, definitely always matters who your quarterback is.
For them?
For any football team ever in the history of time,
yes,
it matters who the quarterback is.
But based on the options like that they currently have in that quarterback room, you think there's an appreciable difference between second-year Spencer Rattler, first-year Tyler Shuck, and injured Jake Haener?
There better be. That's why it matters for the New Orleans Saints. It matters a great deal that Tyler Shuck is a better player than Spencer Rattler after they drafted him in the second round, and seems like he's going to be the day one starter with the Derek Carr retirement.
We'll see what happens in the NFC South in particular. It's not like I don't know. There's just a lot of weirdness in that division generally. I don't know what to do with Carolina. Is Michael Penix good? Like, he played okay in 5 games last year. But I don't know if Michael Penix is clearly and obviously QB1. I mean, he is. Atlanta's treating him that way, and Kirk Cousins is on the trading block as a result. But I don't know if Michael Penix, if what we saw from Michael Penix is enough to make me believe definitively in him. The Saints have had the Derek Carr retirement, the drafting of Tyler Shuck, the way that we've talked about, and the Bucs just keep on rolling. It's just another year for the Bucs to win the division, it feels like.
Michael Penix was born in Cookeville?
I feel like that's come up. Didn't you? Have you brought that up before?
Oh, maybe. I don't recall, but interesting. Cookeville, the home of Billy Napier and Mac Brown also.
Where are you going with that, either of you?
I just wanted to. He was born in Cookeville, but was later moved and raised in Dade City, Florida. So just so you guys know, just for your own edification, that he is a Tennessee product.
Okay. Thank you very much for that information.
A one-time commit to the University of Tennessee.
615-737-1045 is the number. We were talking NBA earlier. We're going to pivot back to one superstar that's probably on the move, and it's taking way too much attention away from the NBA Finals. I'm Buck Rising. It's 1045 The Zone. Welcome back to the show. Fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. We're getting a lot of messages about the Titans' social media screw-up yesterday on Father's Day. They have been aggregated by a lot of different outlets who I think were assuming that they were trying to do something that the general population that traffics in this stuff anyway would consider woke, when in reality it was just a copy and paste screw-up type of situation.
I knew it was a big deal because my dad asked me about it.
Did he really?
Who doesn't follow any sports, He's like, why the hell are the Titans going to thank the mamas on the Daddy's Day? I was like, by the way, happy birthday, Dad. Appreciate it. His birthday is on Father's Day.
Is it really?
How bad would that suck?
It's like having a Christmas birthday.
Christmas birthday is cool because it's like you have to get me a Christmas present and a birthday present.
What do people do on Father's Day anyway? You probably just leave them alone on Father's Day, right?
A lot of people have no idea what we're talking about. Yesterday, the Titans posted a graphic that did say Happy Father's Day. And then the caption was, Happy Father's Day to all the Titans' moms and fatherly figures. They deleted the post and did not repost a Father's Day post.
Yeah, it was, it's going to be my own no tomorrow, which is why I was saving it. But they're getting a lot of heat for it on social media, and apparently things are not going over well in the building today with the social team, regardless. They need to quit screwing around and just give the controls back to Nate Bain. Like, Nate is the only reason why that account is worth following at all in the first place. If any of you are complaining about the lack of content or the quality of content being distributed by the Titans social media team, it's because they took the most important and most valuable person off of that team. And, Nate is doing other important things. He's like their head celebrity wrangler at this point. He's the person getting the entire cast of American Idol to show up at a Titans-Jags game in like week 14 when both teams are terrible. But they have botched that up and down, and it's just so lazy. It's so I don't want to spoil tomorrow's segment, but I just saw a lot of commentary from that about that in the chat. So we're not ignoring it. We're just saving it until tomorrow. In the meantime, Kevin Durant, does your basketball team want him? What is that funny?
No, we had already moved on, but the Titans actually did put a statement out about this. If you thought we had the time.
I'd like to hear it.
I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job. That's bleeding. I need some trash to plug up the cut.
If you say botch, it's the first thing I think of. Like,
oh, man. It's the part before he even goes on that little tangent. He goes, botched one.
Botched it. Oh, it's bleeding.
What's bleeding in that scene?
His toe.
Because
He's
cut
digging into his toe
knife
with a steak knife.
That's awful. God, Danny DeVito's toes. What must that look like? Anyway. How am I supposed to go to Kevin Durant after that?
I have some audio from this.
No. You're cut off. You have reached your limit.
Oh, I botched it?
Yeah, well, I think we have a statement from the Magic after that trade.
No, you've reached your limit on the day. I don't want to hear Danny DeVito's voice on this radio show.
General manager talking about the trade.
So, I botched that one. Oh, that's a botched job. That's bleeding. I need some trash to plug up the cut.
Oh my God. Now every time I have
I'm so mad at you.
I'm going to set it up.
It's just going to be that.
And it's just going to be that.
You're not annoying. I mean, you are annoying me, but you're annoying the audience. That's who really suffers here. You're a Raptors fan. Do you want Kevin Durant on the Raptors next year?
No.
You don't have an NBA team, do you? Like, you don't like actively invested in the Grizzlies.
I'm not actively invested in the Grizzlies, but I consider the Grizzlies to be Tennessee's team. So if I'm to default to any franchise, it would be the Grizzlies.
Do you want Kevin Durant on the Grizzlies?
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Why?
Because he's Kevin Durant.
Okay, but he's not Kevin Durant.
Yeah, but he's worth like 26 points on any given night.
Okay, when you put it that way, yeah, I would also like Kevin Durant. If only for the jersey. If only to be able to say
it's like a Julio Jones Titans jersey. Like what I mean, has Kevin Durant's son's tenure been covered in greatness and glory and championships and all these different things? No. It's been a disaster. That's why they're trying to move him.
You don't have to think that you're getting that player to want a player like Kevin Durant. Is Kevin Durant at 36
what
better?
What is a player like Kevin Durant at this stage in his career? Because you are putting more value on the name Kevin Durant than the actual player.
What I just said, worth a good 25, 26, 27 points per game. That's not valuable to you? Like,
was that his scoring average last year?
He averaged 26 points per game last season.
Who else was going to score those points? It's kind of like Boogie Cousins and the Kings. We talked about Boogie Cousins going to the Warriors and thinking that was going to be a way bigger deal last week with that entire situation. When he ended up going to the Warriors and you thought, okay, they're adding a superstar. He's scoring 50 points a night on the Kings, this, that, and the other. No, somebody's going to have to score points on a bad team.
I mean, they have Devin Booker and Bradley Beal. Like I feel like they have people who can score.
Devin Booker also averaged about 26 points per game.
I wonder what the average margin of defeat in these games were, though. Like, they did not have a winning record, right, the Suns?
I don't know where they finished, but
they were not a good basketball team.
Look, KD has not averaged less than 26 points per game since the 2016-17 season, which we know what he was surrounded by at Golden State. So if you take that season away, he has almost never averaged less than 25. Well, actually, he has not averaged less than 25 points per game since his rookie year.
Okay, but
when the Seattle Supersonics were still a thing.
Is he doing this in meaningful games? Are they playing close, competitive, meaningful games? Is he as good on defense as he used to be? Because it's not just about scoring. And I understand that you get through the regular season. The regular season is fine, and a lot of players are coasting through the regular season. It's not max effort on defense. And playoff basketball ratchets the intensity up a notch. That's fine. But, like, there's too many different... Why is he not redundant from Jaren Jackson Jr.? Like, I understand the name Kevin Durant carries more weight than Jaren Jackson Jr., but, like, why is he not redundant?
I don't know. You're grilling me like I have any response. Like, you just asked me, do you want KD in Memphis? Like, yeah, that'd be cool. Like,
Jaren Jackson Jr. plays defense. Like, that would be my big pushback.
Say again.
Jaren Jackson plays defense, and Kevin Durant doesn't.
He plays defense.
Like, that's why he wouldn't be redundant in my opinion. Like, he could still score. They could still score, but, like, he's more of a, like...
But, like, Memphis' problem to me is that they're ball dominant with Ja when Ja's on the court, and that they find ways to play more free-flowing basketball when Ja's not on the court. It's not like they're a better team without Ja. I'm not arguing that. I don't know what that looks like. It's one of those things that sounds good in principle, but probably doesn't work out the way that you want it to, is what I'm trying to say. That's my whole point with it. You don't have to give me in-depth, nuanced analysis of the Grizzlies.
I just think it'd be cool.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. But, like, would it actually be cool, or would it be something that seemed cool and that it wasn't cool because you got him and it petered out like a fart in the wind? That's what Kevin Durant at this stage of his career feels like to me. I mean, maybe he finds a landing spot that makes sense for him, but, like, the difference between the Miami Heat were not a good basketball team this year. They shipped Jimmy Butler off to Golden State. Difference between the Miami Heat winning a championship and not making the playoffs, Kevin Durant at this stage of his career? No, of course not. 615-737-1045 is how you jump in. There was a huge debacle here locally. It's not really sports related, but it did affect many of you. We'll talk about it in the final hour. We'll also get into the biggest Titans questions heading into this summer now that their offseason program has concluded. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. Employee pricing for everyone. That is currently what Two Rivers Ford has on offer. That's right. You pay what they pay on almost every new Ford on the lot. It's an awesome deal, and Two Rivers Ford is always an awesome place to do business because they go above and beyond for you as the customer to make the car buying process fast, easy, and more fun. Two Rivers Ford is the best in the business. They have been for over 4 decades here in Middle Tennessee, not just because of the quality American-made Ford vehicles that they offer, but because of that award-winning customer service and the standard that they hold themselves to. Plus, their sales staff does not work on commission, which means you feel zero pressure on you throughout the course of the car buying process because your salesperson is making a check whether they sell you a car that day or not. So it makes it just so much easier, so much more enjoyable to go out there and find the vehicle and have them help you find the vehicle that fits your family's budget and your needs. So go to Two Rivers Ford in Mount Juliet or online at tworiversford.com today. Tubi.
It is 12 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Lucas Panzica. In NFL news, the Bengals and star pass rusher Trey Hendrickson have resumed contract talks, according to ESPN. Hendrickson has not participated in the offseason program in Cincy during the contract dispute. The U.S. Open came down to the wire at Oakmont, and J.J. Spawn drilled a 64-foot putt on 18, winning his first ever major, finishing at 1 under. There was a blockbuster trade in the NBA over the weekend. The Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, plus Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-rounders, and a first-round pick swap. The NBA Finals continue tonight. Game 5 in Oklahoma City. The Pacers and Thunder tied up at 2 games apiece. Tip-off is at 7:30. College World Series, Arkansas is on the brink in Omaha. They will face Murray State in an elimination game today at 1 p.m. For all your foundation repairs and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home. For the Titans and Vols, this is 104.5 The Zone.
All right, so we were going to talk about the Bonnaroo debacle to start the third hour, but there is some Titans-adjacent news that has caught our attention, shall we say, and it has to do with Cam Ward. So, welcome back to the final hour of the show. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch is where you can live stream us today. If you're hanging out with us on the radio frequency, we appreciate you. If you're jumping in or just now hanging out, or you've been hanging out throughout the course of the morning, thanks for doing so. Lucas, Robert, and me with you until 1 o'clock. Your phone calls are welcome. 615-737-1045 is the number. So there's a headline from Variety. Tubi, which apparently is a streaming service, picks up Zero Star. The Cam Ward Story is the title of the 6-part docuseries about this year's NFL Draft #1 pick. So I'm reading directly from the Variety story. Tubi has acquired the 6-episode sports documentary series Zero Star, the Cam Ward Story, which looks at how the football player went from an unknown high school player to the eventual leader of the Miami Hurricanes and most recently the #1 overall pick. This thing is going to debut in September. It's such a dumb time to put that on. Put it on in the summer, when there's nothing happening, first and foremost, not when he's actively playing an NFL season, because I mean, I guess it still matters for like Cam Ward diehard fans, what he's doing, what he did leading up to that point. But by the time it gets to September, he's going to be playing football again. People are going to be more invested in the future of Cam Ward than they are in the past of Cam Ward, much less 6 parts. Michael Jordan did a 6-part documentary. What the hell, 6 parts Cam Ward?
I mean, you were like, who's going to watch this? Like every Titans fan who was begging for off-season stuff. Now, if you want to, push back on, okay, what have you done to earn a documentary about you?
It's not Levis and the Mayonnaise campaign, but it's close. To me,
I mean, look, it's a cool story, and cool stories have these things done about them, right? Like a zero-star recruit becoming a first-round pick for the first time ever. The journey, okay, that is something that a documentary can be made of.
A 6-part docuseries?
Yeah, no, it's excessive for
Tiger
sure.
Woods was 2 on HBO.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm not
Look how upset you are.
I'm trying to
It's just content, man. Like, that's all it is.
No,
it's
but
just content.
It's stupid content. It's unnecessary content. And I understand that there is a segment of Titans fans that will, that'll
flock to it.
Okay. Congratulations to the 500 views that Tubi gets off this. Also, where the hell is Tubi? Like, what? It's not Netflix. It's not HBO. It's not Amazon Prime.
To be or not to be?
You sound like somebody shot your pet. You sound so
because
angry.
I just think this is dumb. I think it's so exceedingly dumb to do a 6-part docuseries on a player that just got here. What have you done?
I don't know, man. It's just content. Who cares?
To meet both you in the middle, I do feel like this could impact expectations. Like if you're going to give a
Not
rookie,
if it's in September. He's going to be playing the Broncos by the time this thing airs.
Well, sure, but you would expect a first overall pick who has a 6-part docuseries to do something, right? And now if he doesn't, in the face of this, there would be more mockery, there would be more memes. It just seems like they're setting themselves up for disappointment if he doesn't reach the bell.
like I said, it's not the same to me as Will Levis's mayonnaise commercial, but it's kind of, there are parallels here to me.
I mean, I would argue it's worse, right? One of them is slinging Hellmann's, and one of them is getting their pre-NFL career, like, cemented in a docuseries. Like, did Joe Burrow get a docuseries? Did any, like, you know what I mean? It just seems like a weird timing for it, in my opinion.
Yeah, releasing in September doesn't make a ton of sense when football is actually starting.
Well, I mean, even this year.
Like, because to your point about it being content and that being fine, like, I guess I would be more okay with it if it was during the summer when there's nothing going on and you're just looking for football stuff to consume. But the placement of this makes no sense. The fact that it's on Tubi means nobody wanted it. And the fact that it's 6 parts is thoroughly confusing to me. Like, the story is great. How are you going to, I mean, how long is it? How long are the episodes, I guess, is the question. Because if it's like a 10-minute, it ends up being 60 minutes in total, an hour in total of Cam Ward, and it's a 6-part documentary, okay, that's fine. But, like, this is not some revolutionary situation that requires a 6-part documentary. I didn't need a 9-part. Okay, fine.
Dang it. I couldn't even sneak it in here.
You want to play it?
No, it's okay. I was going to say I had a statement from Tubi on the...
What else is on Tubi?
How long was Tom Brady's... How many episodes was Tom Brady's Man in the Arena that nobody watched?
I have no idea.
I think it was 9, okay? I have a problem with Tom Brady doing 9 or however many it was. 10. That's Tom Brady. That's a 7-time Super Bowl champion. Get the hell out of here with this stuff.
You're way too upset about this.
It's because it's stupid.
What else is on Tubi? Friday the 13th, White Chicks is on Tubi. I need to give that a rewatch. I haven't seen that in quite a few years. The Purge.
So this is not,
on Tubi.
It's not content. This is where content goes to die.
What do you have against White Chicks?
I mean, it's a fine movie.
Little Rascals.
But, like, how old is Little Rascals?
It's been a while.
All
Stomp the Yard.
So when my Netflix sends me notifications about, hey, make sure you watch this because we're getting ready to remove that, or do they remove that and then Tubi picks it up?
Trading Places is on Tubi.
Paid in Full is on here.
Oh, these are some good movies. Some good movies on here. Knight's Tale, Coach Carter.
All of those sound more interesting than a 6-part Cam Ward documentary.
Medea's Witness Protection.
Okay, maybe not that.
Big Mama's House. Let's see. Oh, Everybody Hates Chris. You can watch the entire series. You're just a hater.
Ooh, Tommy
that's all you are.
No, the more you read me things that are on Tubi, the more that I decided that this belongs on Tubi.
28 weeks later.
It belongs.
These are all fine films.
You guys ever seen Tommy Chong's Evil Bong?
No.
It's a horror movie.
Unfamiliar. What does the bong take on a life of its own and choke people out?
It's an evil bong.
Ooh,
it is also on Tubi.
That would be a diabolical way to go.
The Impossible, the inspirational true story of a family surviving the tsunami that hit, I believe, Thailand a little over a decade ago. Nightcrawler, great movie. Bone Tomahawk, I've heard that movie is messed up.
Oh, yeah, you did. I can't even believe we're talking about Bone
Gone
Tomahawk.
in 60 Seconds. Oh, these are some good films. Good films. Elite company, I would say, for the Cam Ward documentary. Buck just doesn't like to see other people get good things. 28
this
weeks
is a good
later,
thing that he's relegated to Tubi for his 6-part documentary.
Yeah, if he's making any money on
it. If you thought people didn't care about Cam Ward nationally now, you think they're going to care about his 6-part documentary that got relegated to Tubi?
Okay, 6-part Cam Ward documentary or Ben-Hur. They're both 6 hours long.
Classics.
I'd rather watch Ben-Hur. I don't want to spin my wheels on this because it's just going to end up being me bitching for 12 minutes about
that's
this.
already what it has been.
That's fine. But but seriously, Lucas, like, we killed Will Levis, or at least I did. You tried to back me off on this a couple of times when I went at Will Levis for, like, what have you done to earn a nationally televised commercial campaign?
I didn't mind it because I was skeptical that Will Levis's NFL career was going to pan out. And so I had a hard time sitting there saying, I don't think you're going to be a very successful NFL quarterback. And also, you shouldn't make more money in marketing. Like, that's where I had a hard time with it. Although I understand, like, the optics of it. And, like, the only clip that comes out of that Peyton Manning camp is him asking about marketing, even though we have no idea what else he might have asked in that session. Like, I get why it was a bad look, but I just always have such a hard time being like, no, you don't get to do that, right? Like, you don't know how these careers are going to pan out. So it's tough for me to say, that, no, you shouldn't get that extra money that you could get that can supplement whatever you potentially don't make.
He's doing another mayonnaise campaign.
I have seen that campaign, yes.
Yeah. So, but Okay, so do it on social media. Don't have it broadcast on national television during college football playoff games 6 weeks after you've been
No, the timing of it doesn't really make sense when football is actually on and people have games to watch. Like, use it to fill this next month and a half, 2 months where we're walking through the desert with no football. But
I genuinely want to know what this thing does in terms of numbers. Does Tubi? I know Netflix doesn't have to release like ratings per se, right?
Oh, Terrifier is on here.
It's kind of like Soft Knocks. Like, not Hard Knocks. They don't have asking the hard questions. It's Soft Knocks.
Oh, that Winnie the Pooh horror movie is on here.
Which I enjoyed. I feel like any of those.
The horror movie?
The Winnie the Pooh. I love any of those that came into the public domain that then the horror companies swept up. Like, there's Piglet is an evil piglet. They're not bad. They belong on Tubi, but they're
the
not
good,
bad.
the bad, and the ugly. Literally one of the greatest films of all time.
And Fistful of Dollars.
The whole trilogy's on here. A few dollars more.
God, throw it on the TV. What are we doing?
You're just a hater.
Yes, I hate this. You are correct. I think this is stupid. I think this is genuinely stupid. I think you should have an NFL career before you decide to tout your 6-part documentary series and have it put out on Variety that it's going to be put on Tubi. That's embarrassing.
We should make Buck walk around with an H on his chest, like the scarlet letter.
You want? I'll get it tattooed. I'll get it tattooed on me if you want. I don't even care.
Taken is on here.
Well, that's a banger. That's the only good thing that you've said that's on Tubi.
The good, the bad, and the ugly. Are you kidding me?
John Wayne?
Oh, you're the worst.
What do you mean?
You're the worst.
That's the John Wayne movie.
No, it's not.
The original Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is a John Wayne movie. What are you talking about?
What year are we talking about? I'm talking about Clint Eastwood over here.
I'm pretty sure that's a remake.
Nobody hears the good, the bad, and the ugly and thinks John Wayne.
100% they do.
No.
The 1966 version is Clint Eastwood.
What am I? I'm thinking of Angel and the Bad Man.
How?
That is so terrible by you.
How?
That's fair. I'll take the L on that one. Everything else I'm right about.
This whole segment, you're taking a big fat L.
If this show was the good, the bad, and the ugly, you would be the bad and the ugly. You think I'm going to be
wrong about nobody watching this documentary series? I'm pretty sure I'm dead on about
Titans
this.
fans will watch it.
Again, there is and how many people are catering to Titans fans in this world? All right. Bonnaroo was a debacle. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the biggest Titans questions heading into the summer beyond how many people will watch Cam Ward's 6-part documentary. I'm Buck Rising. It's 104.5 The Zone. He forgot to plug his Tubi documentary in the middle of his 3HL interview. Trajan Wealth, they're there to help you. They'll help you more than the 6-part Cam Ward docuseries on Tubi. Advisory services are what they offer when it comes to strategic wealth management solutions. If you've got a spring cleaning on the list to do, make sure you do the same for your finances and tidy up your wealth management strategy. That's exactly what Trajan Wealth can provide, because occurrences like inflation, election cycles, new laws, and interest rates can affect the financial markets in the short term, but it doesn't make sense to keep changing the way you invest in response to the daily news. Instead, Trajan Wealth will help you review your strategy and make sure that it's right for your goals, your risk tolerance, and your time horizon. Trajan Wealth will help you decide what to do, because a lot of us can get overwhelmed by our financial situations. If you are not somebody who is keeping up with it on a regular basis, or feels like you need to be more diligent about it, or just frankly hasn't done a good enough job with your retirement planning strategy, Trajan Wealth is there to help you with 2 locations in Brentwood or Franklin. The number is simple, 615-270-5000. That's 615-270-5000, or visit them online at TrajanWealth.com. Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. This is a paid advertisement. Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hetty B's Hot Chicken. 615-737-1045, the number. Jump on in there if you want. We'll get to your phone calls here in just a second. What do you want to start with? You want to start with the biggest Titans questions heading into the summer after the offseason program? Or you want to start with Bonnaroo?
Let's hear from Tom in Murfreesboro.
Okay, we can start with the phone calls. Tom is in Murfreesboro up next. What's up, Tom?
Hey, Buck. How you doing?
Good.
You know why it's on Tubi, don't you?
I don't. Well, I assume because nobody else wanted it, but...
No, because they couldn't get it on $1 or $3.
Oh, they couldn't what?
They couldn't get it on $1 or $3.
I don't. Robert, can you translate?
What are you not getting about this? They couldn't get it on Wamba or Thuba. I have no clue what he said either.
What?
He was cracking himself up with that one, too.
I literally heard the only part of that I understood clearly was his wheezing laughter in the background.
When he told me the first time, he laughed so good that I was like, oh, it's going to be funny.
It was a funny
and I just
laugh.
didn't hear him. So I was like, I'll put it in here.
Are you glad we started with the phone calls? That was your
that was electric.
Well,
yeah.
I think he was making like a 2B. They couldn't find it on 1B or 3B.
Oh, that's
I think
bad.
the joke he was making.
I might go home and watch Karate Kid on Tubi after this show today.
He's literally just like he's going to spend the rest of the show.
This show has become a commercial for Tubi.
All right, very good. Well, maybe.
They have Puss in Boots on there?
Oh, nice.
Dude.
I got so scared.
The Other Guys is on here.
All right.
Good movies.
PB,
Ooh.
super underrated movie.
Shooter. Good Mark Wahlberg movie.
All of those things will get more downloads than a Cam Ward 6-part docuseries. All right.
He's such a hater.
I am, correct. That is
a hater
that is
for no.
correct.
I think you're jealous. I think you're jealous that nobody will ever make a documentary about you.
All right, you know me well enough that that's probably true. But do you think, knowing me, that I would be offended if somebody tried to put my docuseries that nobody wants to make on Tubi? I think the answer to that is yes. The Bonnaroo thing was a debacle. We were thinking about going to Bonnaroo this year. Ultimately, those plans petered out, and it ended up being for the good. I don't know have we made an executive decision on Pilgrimage Fest yet?
I'm definitely going on Sunday.
Because of John Mayer.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, because of John Wayne.
Angel and the Bad Man. Maybe he'll sing it.
Happy Thanksgiving, Pilgrimage.
Yes, I plan on going Sunday.
That one got him.
That was a better joke than 1B and 3B. The way that man was howling with laughter in the background of his own joke. That's excellent. Bonnaroo has one day and one night that they get to put on. After that, they get everybody out to Manchester and they send out a mass text message that says the festival has been canceled for weather. Now, I am coming off the experience of watching the Astroworld documentary on Netflix, which was actually compelling. You know the Astroworld situation. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Travis
it
Scott.
was a disaster.
Tragic.
Yeah.
Awful. It is the festival that Travis Scott was throwing in Houston. He had thrown, I think, 2 different Astroworld festivals in Houston prior to the pandemic. In 2021, he wants to throw a bigger and better 2-day festival in Houston, and it's Astroworld. It's back. It's better than ever. Except they planned this thing so poorly that the logistics of the crowd and the way that he antagonizes the crowd eggs people on into like a rave mosh pit type of situation. And it eggs people on to the point where people are falling over one another. People are rushing the stage. People are pushing up against one another to the point where you can't breathe. If you fall down, you end up, there were people who died in this tragedy, right? It's a horrible, horrible story about the mismanagement of a music festival and how Live Nation basically got off scot-free. Live Nation is also in charge of Bonnaroo because of the scale of the acts that they have going on out in Manchester. And so Live Nation makes the executive decision to cancel Bonnaroo for rain when I don't know how the weather ended up holding up in Manchester specifically. I know in Nashville it ended up being pretty nice. All of these artists, almost all of these artists it seems, end up coming up to Nashville from Manchester to play pop-up shows all over town. It looked awesome. I didn't get a chance to go to any of them. I was doing Fox here from 7 to 10 on Saturday night. But was there one that you saw that you got particular FOMO about? Because you were in Chicago doing the soccer game. Obviously, you couldn't have gone either. But it looked really, really cool to see like Paramore playing Brooklyn Bowl. That was sick.
That would have been awesome. I saw a lot of complaints about Live Nation, like when they put out the statement that they had to cancel, and almost the entire comment section was Live Nation has ruined Bonnaroo. But I saw a lot of pictures from the farm and the scene out there, and it looked untenable. Like
rivers running through the campsite.
Yeah, it was a giant mud pit. So I might not have all the details, and Bonnaroo is certainly not the same with it being a big corporate music festival than it was 20 years ago. I get that, and I get that people might pine for those days, but it looked like an impossible situation over the weekend. So, Paramore would have been cool, but that's 3 out of the last 6 now
that have been canceled.
Yeah, one of those
early.
due to COVID, obviously, and then the year after, 2021, was again because of weather, because of driving storms. Not luckily, but the timing was a lot better because it got canceled before it really got the chance to start, as opposed to everybody getting there and having a day and a night and then having to send everybody home. Logistically, it seemed like a nightmare.
Right. And I wonder what the refund situation was, because they did get a night in. So are they giving full refunds to people even though
75% refund?
That's a real thing?
Yeah, that's what they said in their official statement. They're giving 75% refunds because technically people got 1 day of it, and it's a 4-day pass that you get, even though a lot of people don't show up until Friday. But yeah, that's what they're doing.
Am I wrong to think that that's nonsense? That people should have gotten a full refund?
I feel like for the nightmare of getting in and out, I think you should get a full refund.
Well, think about the money you invested to either get there, stay there, hop in a car with somebody.
You're buying supplies. Yeah. You're buying, people bring mini fridges and RVs and all manner of other expensive equipment and things like that because you're living out there for 4 days at a campsite that's, prone to flooding. Maybe Bonnaroo ought to use that 25% that they got back to invest in a situation that does not allow for rivers to run through your campsite should rain occur in Manchester, Tennessee, because it keeps happening at this point. They have to be losing their ass.
How cool would it be if they built like those houses that are in Asia and wet places, like built on stilts? Build a bunch of houses, bunch of platforms for tents on stilts, get some drainage ditches in there, like just take this whole next year to waterproof that farm. Like, just dig a bunch of ditches, man.
Yeah.
Get some drainage. They're like, I guess we can't do anything. It's been like this 3 times.
It rains in the summer.
Yes.
That's
Famously.
a thing that happens.
Now,
Plant some grass.
This summer it has rained more than, it feels like just about any other summer in the last 10 years that I've lived here. But the thing that really sucks, because it was cool to see all these artists coming up to Nashville and, playing shows at Barstool or Skinny Denny's or Brooklyn Bowl or Tin Roof or all these other venues around town that would normally have smaller acts that are coming up and stuff like that. And instead you have blockbusters playing at every venue in town because they're just looking for space and they're already here. The thing that sucked, though, was how quickly those other tickets, the tickets to the Nashville shows, got bought up so that people who wanted to see those artists that they may have traveled from across the country to see at Bonnaroo, they don't have phone signal out in Manchester. So they're getting scooped not once but twice to get the opportunity to see these artists because they've paid to go see them at Bonnaroo. Bonnaroo gets canceled. Then you finally get out of the wasteland that is the wasteland of cell phone service that is Manchester, and you see, okay, AT-Aliens is playing the Pinnacle or something like that. I'm going to get tickets. Too late. The tickets are already gone because everybody in Nashville bought them up.
That's the problem with you. You think you're getting Bonnaroo, and instead you get Manchester by the Sea.
How do you feel about that one?
I enjoyed it. I thought anyone who is aware of the play.
I haven't seen the movie. Is it on
didn't
Tubi?
Even smile.
The Manchester.
That was a better joke. 615-737-1045 is the number. How about Brandon in Nashville?
Hey, how are you guys?
Good.
Good. I just wanted to bring up about the Bonnaroo thing. It really sucked that it got canceled. But, the porta potties couldn't be cleaned or anything. It was really a mud pit. Shows being sold out in Nashville. There was also just pop-ups on the pedestrian bridge. It was really a great weekend in Music City.
Yeah, no, it was cool after the fact for Nashville, but for the people that there were Bonnaroo refugees everywhere all over the city this year. I'm sure that's not the first year that it's been like that. Jimmy is in Franklin next.
Good afternoon, everybody. it's a Live Nation event, and so I mean, obviously, Live Nation's a massive company, and they're going to survive, this event or lack thereof. But most companies, when they put on these events outside, they get insurance for it, so they won't be totally out. On the hook for, all the refunds that they're giving. The real losers in all this are the vendors that actually go to these events. And this was going to be, a big boom for them. 4 days, 4 nights, selling alcohol and, whatever, merch. Can you think about all the merch that they were going to sell this weekend that didn't happen, So those are the real losers. I mean, other than the fans, of course, but the vendors that rely on an event like this, it's a big deal.
No, it's a good point, Jimmy. We appreciate the context. One more on Bonnaroo before we pivot back to some Titan stuff. Bam is in Nashville next.
Yo, what up, man? I actually experienced the Bonnaroo craziness. I had to play downtown in Furnace Valley this weekend. I will tag y'all in videos of the line that it was to try to get in. Like, we won this weekend. We won from the Bonnaroo actually not happening there. Bonnaroo still happened. It just happened in Nashville, Apprentice Alley, downtown at Bourbon Street. It was a dope vibe. They had to kind of tell some people to put certain substances up. But, yeah, we definitely had a vibe, bro. So I hate it didn't happen there, but it happened downtown Nashville, though.
No, I mean, it was a mini Bonnaroo in the streets of Nashville for sure. just imagine, how many people got out there taking magic mushrooms or whatever else they're taking it before Bonnaroo and stuff like that. Getting there after 10 minutes, you're just starting a trip, and then you get a text from Centeroo. All right, show's over, kids. Pack it up, go on home. What's that experience got to be like? Gonna drive back 7 hours to Chicago or something like that. All right, no seamless way to pivot, but we'll do it anyway. Biggest Titans questions heading into the summer now that the offseason program has concluded. Is it not just the same exact questions that we spent the entire offseason program talking about? Wide receivers, pass rush, and corner.
Yeah, the better question is, what questions did get answered? I will say one question that becomes amplified is the question of L'Jarius Sneed. And just generally his situation. Obviously, nothing got answered there, but I think that question, like the font, just grows bigger on that question on a list of Titans questions, right? That seems like it's still the knee that's giving him issues, right? Even though he had a thigh situation or the bone bruise situation last year, like the injury stuff just seems generally murky around L'Jarius Sneed. He's there, but not on the field, and we don't have any sort of resolution with this off-the-field issue from the alleged shooting at a car at a dealership, a person in a car at a dealership in Texas. So the L'Jarius Sneed question just got highlighted and bolded a little more. Otherwise, what questions were answered? J.C. Latham looks good, right? Like physically looks good. Jeffrey Simmons physically looks good, is fine, is in shape, right? But rarely do questions get answered in minicamp. Like Cam Ward.
There's one. I have one. I think, or at least I have a pretty good feeling about one. Maybe it's not concretely answered yet, but let me hear from Nick Holtz, the Titans offensive coordinator, about the deployment of Chimere Dike, or the role that they're trying to find for one of the 2 fourth-round rookie wide receivers.
I think we're trying to find kind of everybody's role. I think Chim has showed that he can play inside and outside here. Which so far, it's easy and shorts at this point. So he's shown he can kind of play everywhere, all over the field. So as much as he can keep taking and growing in the offense, I think we want to use him a lot. So I don't think there's any limits on what he could do, but I don't think we're ready to kind of say he's going to be at this spot yet either.
So it's not really a question about Chimere Dike. I mean, it is a question. Nick Holtz is specifically being asked there about the Florida wide receiver there. But it's more about that audio as context for a conversation that did you play any of the Tyke Tolbert stuff last week? Wide receivers coach?
We definitely played something from Tyke Tolbert.
Okay. Well, I
can't remember about who.
The thing that stood out to me in the context of that Holtz answer is Tyke Tolbert, because I think the assistant coach stuff is as valuable media availability as we do, because it's much more granular. It's much more detailed. I feel like you get a lot more answers to things that you're looking for. And one of the things that was asked of Tyke Tolbert was, where is Tyler Lockett's role primarily in this offense? Because Tyler Lockett, he wasn't as much a slot player in Seattle as you would think. Like, he did play in the slot, but that wasn't his primary role necessarily. Tyke Tolbert is saying that here, Tyler Lockett is most likely to be, or projects to be, their primary slot receiver. Now, there's nothing to... I don't know that Tyler Lockett is a roster lock at 33 years old. He hasn't... He's participated lightly in the offseason program at this point in time. He's at an advanced age. They're also slow playing things with Zeitler because Zeitler's, 34, 35?
35
at this point in his career. So there's veteran plans for guys that get to an advanced age. We'll see if Tyler Lockett ends up on the initial 53.
I'd call him pretty close to a roster lock.
I'm wait and see. It's not a... I don't think that you can do roster locks with anybody but Calvin Ridley in that wide receiver room right now. I think it's very convoluted.
I disagree because that wide receiver room is just not solidified enough for me to think that there's going to be so much competition that it boxes out Tyler Lockett, a veteran who they brought in here to do a very specific thing, right? Like, it's like Tyler Boyd. He was brought in last year to do it. Not great, but he was a roster lock. Like, there wasn't a situation where he was going to get cut from the 53 as a guy coming over from Cincinnati.
That was a very different situation. He knew the system. He was here to help educate the quarterback. He had a first-year head coach who was also his offensive coordinator.
Different situation, but in principle, Tyler Lockett comes over as a veteran wide receiver that can help a young quarterback that can primarily play in the slot. Like, okay, we don't have to say lock, but I would be very, very, very surprised if he's not on the 53.
I don't know that I would be I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't make the roster because I don't know what Tyler Lockett is going to look like at this point in his career. But just hearing Tyke Tolbert talk about him in the slot, and let's just assume for the purposes of this exercise that Tyler Lockett is on the initial 53-man roster. I think Alec Iamaner is the opposite outside wide receiver from Calvin Ridley. And I think that's a question that we did not have the answer to prior to the offseason program beginning, that I think we're as close to an answer as you could have without them being in pads yet. Like, Iamaner could have setbacks. He could struggle in joint training camp work with the Bucs and the Falcons that they have upcoming. He could have setbacks along the way that derail that thought process. But I think if things held equal today, that Alec Iamaner is a starting wide receiver, like a wide receiver who is going to play the bulk of the snaps this year, if he's healthy. He looks too good. And their routes on air, there is competition, but they're not going 110 miles an hour like they would be in a game or even in a training camp practice. So I'm trying to temper my expectations for him in particular, but he's the rookie not named Cam Ward that I'm most excited about if I'm a Titans fan. And you wouldn't have a reason if you're a Titans fan to be that kind of excited because you haven't seen him really yet other than some practice highlights that the team puts out or individual drills that we're able to shoot for you when we're out at open practices. But he looks like the real deal. He's certainly got the prototypical size. He's got the speed at that size. A lot of the contested catches that he was making. The big thing on him coming out of Stanford was drops. Didn't really seem to, at least in OTAs and minicamp. Training camp will ratchet up the intensity in preseason games after that. But drops were not something that I associated Iamaner with in the offseason program. I think that starting three wide receiver set, provided that they all stay healthy, is Ridley and Iamaner on the outside and Lockett in the slot.
Sounds about right.
Snead is a huge complication. They don't feel real good about that. I mean, I don't know how you could. He got a potential grand jury indictment hanging over his head, and he's a player who wasn't he wasn't awful, but he wasn't good when he was on the field and available. And Callahan has talked, you pointed that out the other day. What was that, Tuesday? When he made those comments about L'Jarius Sneed kind of getting back up to his level of expectation or who they expect L'Jarius Sneed to be. The only time that I saw him during mandatory minicamp was at the very end of practice. He didn't practice that day. He was in street clothes. But it was family day, so he was leaving the facility with one of his kids, and then very quickly the PR staff noticed him, and we were all done with Cam Ward, talking to Cam Ward, so we were walking towards Snead, and then very quickly the PR staff was like shaking their head in a direction, like, get out of there, run, before the vultures get to you. Their corner depth wasn't great to begin with, right? I think in a perfect world they would move on from Roger McCreary at the end of the year. They would move Jarvis Brownlee into the nickel as opposed to the outside where he's been playing primarily. I just think he's playing outside right now because they have to have him play outside. because they're concerned about, last year, obviously, the health of the two outside corners that they signed, one whom they cut, the other one who's played in 5 games to date and has the legal situation hovering over him. So maybe they do it out of necessity, but I don't know how we can be still talking about corner being this big of a problem when they've invested this much in it year over year over year. I mean, first-round picks, second-round picks, now big price contracts in free agency, one who they cut 1 year into a 3-year deal. It's messy. I mean, we knew that they were going to have holes that they couldn't fill completely this year. They're never going to have a perfect roster. But I'm surprised that we're still talking this much about corner given how much work they tried to do to address that. How do you think Mike Borgonzi feels about all this in an honest moment, given that he's the one who did the right thing by the Chiefs and moved on from L'Jarius Sneed at the right time?
Yeah, that's the first thing you would ask, right? If you had Mike Borgonzi with truth serum, take us back to that L'Jarius Sneed trade from the Chiefs' point of view. And how you feel about it now?
He nailed it. He nailed it from the Chiefs' point of view. Now he's the Titans' general manager.
To hear his thoughts on it would be fascinating, and which means that the people in that building have an honest assessment of L'Jarius Sneed, right? This is the problem the Titans have right now with Sneed is Mike Borgonzi's problem now. So they have that honest assessment of what he believes about L'Jarius Sneed in that building. So they're kind of stuck to him in 2025, and they need something out of him. But I would be fascinated to get that assessment from Borgonzi, which we will never get.
Last call for phone calls. If you got them, 615-737-1045. The number. We'll do those and update the polls next.
Lunch. Hey guys, if you're looking for the best place in Nashville to catch all the U.S. men's national team action this summer or Nashville SC action, look no further than Fog Street Lawn Club with British-style lawn bowling, authentic pub fare, and a match day atmosphere that is second to none. It is the perfect spot for soccer fans to come together. Hey, it's Lucas Panzica, and not just soccer fans. Go watch the NBA Final, Stanley Cup Final. There are TVs everywhere, tons of space to watch the game, and I will be there to watch the U.S. men's national team coming up this Thursday as the U.S. continues group stage play in the Gold Cup ahead of their match against Saudi Arabia. Thursday, the game's at 8. I'll be there hanging out at 6. We'll have giveaways, exclusive merch, and your chance to win match tickets. So if you can't make it Thursday, no worries. I'll be back again on Sunday. The next Sunday as the U.S. wraps up group stage play. Always a fun crew out there of USA fans watching the game, so grab your friends, wear your red, white, and blue, and make Fog Street Lawn Club your home base for every big moment. And, of course, you got that gorgeous rooftop view of downtown Nashville. It's going to be a good time. So I'll see you guys at Fog Street Lawn Club this Thursday.
Welcome back to the show, fueled by Hattie B's Hot Chicken. Last call for phone calls. Pacers and Thunder Game 5 tonight in OKC. Pacers not able to get it done in the second game at Indiana. I probably still think that the Thunder end up winning this series. It's been a fun series. I just want it over with as somebody who wants the Pacers to win. But I hope that people are able to enjoy it. The ratings have been so bad for the Stanley Cup, which is criminal to me.
Yeah,
because
that stinks.
The hockey has been awesome. But, like, did you watch not Saturday night's game? What would that have been? Thursday night where it went to overtime 5-4, the way that Edmonton was able to come back in that game. 2 million people watched that. That's disgusting. That's anemic. I mean, what did the draft do? What was the draft's ratings? As opposed to the Stanley Cup final, or at least that specific Stanley Cup final game. I've been really, I guess it's everybody else's loss if you're not watching this, and I wouldn't admit that I've watched every game of the Stanley Cup final, but like, this rematch has been so much fun if you've been able to catch any of these games. Even if you're just, even if you're just betting on them. I would have thought 2 million, at least more than 2 million people are betting on these things, right? They're just not watching it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's not necessarily a market issue. I mean, maybe it is. Florida, down there in Sunrise, right outside of Miami, Edmonton, that has a massive fan base. Their narratives are all there. It's a rematch of last year's final. That was crazy. Edmonton trying to end this drought of Canadian teams not winning the Stanley Cup.
Especially at the hands of South Florida.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I got no answers.
All right, it's too bad. Sonny Wood says no one cares. I mean, that's fine if nobody does. It's just fun sports. If you don't care about fun sports, then yeah, nobody's no gun to your head making you watch the hockey. It's just your loss. It's the best player on the planet, and Connor McDavid out there looking like the best player on the planet, and a player in Leon Draisaitl who has the argument for being one of the most clutch Stanley Cup players of all time. He's been awesome this entire way through. So if that's lost on you, I don't begrudge you. I just think you're missing out.
I only watched one of those games, and I would change his name to Leon Wetsaddle, the way he had me feeling. Yeah, you hold that. You hold it back. I saw he wants to crack so bad, boy.
Chuck is in Clarksville. Hey, Chuck.
Hey, Buck. Hey, I think, that's just my opinion, but I think a lot of the questions we had about Cam Ward were answered. I mean, I know he's still got to go through training camp. He's got to go through the season. But the command he's shown in the huddle, the command he's shown with being able to talk to Jeff and take plays over his headset, the passing accuracy, I think he's answered the question of whether he was the number one choice.
Thank you for the call, Chuck.
Drive safe out there.
Very rude.
Was he honking or did he get honked at?
Somebody was honking.
I asked Bert in his ear while Chuck was finishing his call, was that a fart or a honk? Yeah.
But that is fair from Chuck in terms of seeing how that kind of day one leadership style would translate from college to the NFL.
You tried to tell me it
I
wouldn't.
did not try to tell you it wouldn't.
Now who's the hater?
I tried to tell you.
You wear the H on your
Look,
chest.
Listen, don't blame me.
How's he going to be able to talk to the 30-year-olds who have families and all these other things? How will Cam Ward's leadership style ever translate to the NFL?
It is a different challenge to do that at the NFL level than the college level.
A different challenge that players take on each and every year.
Yes, but different nonetheless. And your feeble little T-Rex arm mind couldn't wrap its little tiny arms around that idea.
You
I
by
understand.
far and away have the shortest arms of anybody on the show.
All right, wingspan contest.
Stick yours out, Buck. Oh, yeah, Buck's got the shortest.
Yeah, you got the shortest
Buck's
for
got the
sure.
shortest.
It's all right, Lucas. I think shrunk the last time I saw him. He's 4'7" now. It's a degenerative condition.
It's nice down here.
Well, that length is going to his ass.
That'd be terrible to just have a long ass.
It'd be tough going around corners.
It was like the reverse Derrick Henry. Like Derrick had just a tiny little, not a tiny little torso. He's still a 6'4", 250-pound running back. But like Derrick's torso in relation to how long his legs is one of the funniest. Like Gunnar Helm kind of has a similar build that way. Anyway, can't do anything about Lucas's 4'7" arms. But
I feel like when I'm walking around corners, I know how drivers of 18-wheelers feel. You know what I mean? Where they'll be like turning around a tight corner.
Why? Because you have the turn radius of a school bus with that thing?
Yeah. I mean, it's a problem. And like, sometimes you're in your car and you see, and you're sitting there. We should do the
shelf test with Lucas.
Ooh. I don't know if it would sit on it like that. I don't know if it would stand that good.
You don't know. We can find out. What's the worst thing that happens? We spill some water on his pants?
I'm down.
Darrington is next.
My good people. Hey, we were talking about why nobody wants to watch hockey. Some sporting events just not good on TV. It just has no interest. Like, I'm sorry.
Strong disagree.
I didn't know this until I went to a Predators game to see how fun hockey was, but if you want me to sit there and watch it on TV, you couldn't pay me to do it. Some sports like baseball, they're just endless. You'll get people to watch that. Football, people will get there to watch that. Nobody's going to watch Indiana OKC because it's boring. I love basketball, but there's nothing entertaining about it. There's no superstar with no dramatic story behind it, so there's no interest of people to watch that. This is how sports is going right now. Another thing, do you think Jair Alexander or Matthew Judon could be a possibility for this team? And then finally, if the Titans was a network, wouldn't they be Tubi themselves?
Yes.
So wouldn't it kind of fit for Cam Ward to be on Tubi?
That's perfect.
Yeah. Movies back in the day when it was a flop, it would go straight to TV. Well, now they just go straight to Tubi. So maybe that's what the Titans are doing this year. They're going straight to Tubi. I'll go back to listening. Y'all have a good one.
Thank you for the call. If the Titans were a network or a streaming service, it would be Tubi.
Get Out is on Tubi. Anchorman. Tubi is free, by the way, I might add. The Pianist.
That makes it even sadder. You don't even have to pay to watch this damn thing.
Donnie Darko. Like, you are just so...
Oh, Jackie Brown.
Oh.
That's what I'm watching
I haven't
tonight.
seen that movie in way too long.
Did not do it,
What is
baby.
that?
Jackie Brown, Quentin Tarantino.
I'm not familiar.
De Niro, Sam Jackson, elite cast. Hotel Rwanda, that is an incredible movie.
All things I'd rather watch than a 6-part Cam Ward.
You're just so irrationally mad about Cam Ward just telling his story.
I think it's completely rational. I think wait till you've done something at the professional level before you roll out a 6-part docuseries.
I mean, sure.
I think that if anybody wanted it, would not be on Tubi.
6 parts is a lot of
there
parts.
There are, a couple thousand Titans fans that will flock to it and be delighted by it. And I think the fact that it's free for all tells you everything you need to know.
Being the first ever 0-star to be a first-round draft pick, let alone the number 1 pick, is a story in and of itself.
That's fine. Make 1 part. I don't need 6.
They should have checked with you. That's too bad.
Does he deserve the same amount of parts to his docuseries as Michael Jordan?
Oh, this Chef is a good movie. Also on Tubi.
That's my answer. Are we ready to do some polls?
No, I think, Lucas, give me 4 more movies we could watch on Tubi.
Point Break.
Ooh, okay. Down with that.
Talladega Nights.
Ooh, I love the way the Cosby are coming around that track.
That's such a great line for you to pull from that.
I mean, these are...
2 more.
This is a pretty good
Can you not
pretty
find
good
one?
lineup. I've just named so many already. Let's see. Ooh, Rescue Dawn, Christian Bale. Malcolm X.
Oh, there we go.
Denzel.
We're ready for polls.
Lone Survivor.
I wonder if Godfather is on Tubi.
I haven't seen Lone Survivor in a while.
No, that one you still have to pay for.
Ooh, Felon, also a great movie.
The Temptations.
Oh, The Right Stuff. There's a bunch of bangers on there. LaTaunt.
Woodlawn.
Brought to you by Tubi.
Brought to you by, this whole show might as well have been brought to you by Tubi. Buck has inadvertently just made a giant commercial for Cam Ward's documentary. Presented by Two Rivers Ford, actually, the most trusted Ford dealer in the South. What is the biggest Titans question you have after the offseason program? Karchi says, is Snead going to play this season? Dave says the cornerback room. Kenneth says why Levis is getting any more reps is his biggest question. Whatever 5th or 6th rounder you get for him is not worth slowing down Cam's development.
It's the corner thing.
What do you feel, you got to turn your mic on to talk. What do you feel like you learned about the Titans in the offseason program? Brian says absolutely nothing. You got it, dude. You have to turn your mic on.
The red light's on.
Okay. No, it wasn't. I'm right here.
What did you fade me down? You're a child.
Where do you want to see Kevin Durant land? Dwayne says Houston Rockets. Cam says retirement. Tim says on the moon.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That'd be good. SpaceX, put them in there. They have to build a Kevin Durant-sized rocket.
Who is the best sports dad? Tim says,
why did you
obviously,
do that?
Bill Callahan, you did on
For
your Twitter
what?
account. Accountability, not your strength. We're getting a submission for Buddy Ryan. Cam says Ken Griffey Sr. And finally,
The answer is LeVar Ball.
do you care that Cam Ward is having a documentary made about him, or are you a jealous hater like Buck? 91% say they don't care. There are 9% that say they are a jealous pocket-watching hater like you.
Pocket watching.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not pocket watching.
You just don't want Cam to get his, and it's fine, but at least be upfront about it. Those are the polls.
The only thing I'm looking for in Cam Ward's pocket is how many eggs he has from breakfast.
Maybe that's in the. Maybe they'll have a just one part of the 6-part docuseries about Cam Ward devoted to what he eats for breakfast. All right. That's going to do it for us today. Prime time tonight. Have a great rest of your afternoon. Blaine and Zach, they've got you covered. Perhaps you'll get your Tubi information there. See you later.
Oh, botched. I botched that one. Oh, that's